And here we go.
In 5, 4, 3.
Call to me, lands far away.
Elves have forests to protect.
We need to build a wall.
Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel.
No.
Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
Nothing is over! Nothing! You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
Darkness will march over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
Everyone! I am sorry, but their time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead. We either move forward or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Away I must wander this wandering day.
To him finally being lionized in the prime and his prime. Fuck.
Do it!
Shit.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true!
Luke went from being, oh no. Welcome, Slayer Nation. I have some great news for you today. I hope you're all doing great. Nope, that didn't work. One more.
You have failed me for the last time.
Welcome, Slayer Nation. I hope.
If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.
That is eating away at what you love in order for it to shine. And one man's vision is... Sometimes you don't have to make things better for them to be great again. You merely have to Okay. Hollywood continues to slow boil the culture and crazy. Well, right now, Spider-Man actor Andrew Garfield has stepped up and he's fighting motherfucker.
I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live! Fuck it!
And unbearded dwarves, but Prime didn't stop there. They stapled in intersectionality, individuality, biddiga-dig-bee, biddiga-dig-boo.
So it begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Ladies and gentlemen, George the Giant Slayer.
What's going on, everybody? It is great to be back. It is August 18th in the year of our Lord 2024. How are you doing today? It's like we almost have 400 people in the house. We got Fletcher Williams is here. We got Lord Thoth, Eric K, the king of moderators, man of war. I see the pissing contest has already started. You know, it's been a really great week. And if you haven't had a good week, buckle up. You're going to have a great time because it's been a really, really bad week for Disney. You had Borderlands was crushed. You also have Star Wars news for the Acolyte. Nielsen didn't give Disney a gift. Plus, we had Alien Romulus come out. There's more news about X-Men 97 and Amazon's Panda Rings of Power, which we're going to talk about today. So are you ready? We'll get those engines started. Welcome, Slayer Nation. Let's get going. We got an amazing panel of guests, each one of them a king in their own domains. We got a king of comedy, of independent filmmaking, cutting commentary, truth-telling. And let's get him out here. First, we have the amazing Paul Chato. We got Derek Anderson, Verbal Riot, and Epic Mike from the Epic Verse. How y'all doing? I can't hear you, and I don't know sign language.
Very good, very good.
No, okay.
Nursing a bit of a hangover, but I'm good.
That's good. That's good. You were talking like last night you went to see a cover band. Was it
some
fun?
80s cover band. It was a good time. It was just a bunch of friends hanging out in Pasadena. Free concert, so why not?
Well,
booze was flowing. The group was great. Yeah, we had a good time.
Oh, that's cool. Paul, now that you're
not drinking, I'm fine. There a lot of people get caught because they're drinking and driving. I mean, if you're watching body cam videos, probably the easiest way to not get caught is to don't drink and drive.
That's a good one. Are we going to catch you on a body cam video anytime soon?
I sure hope so.
What would you say? I would love to see the cop that pulled you over.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what kind of tests. I'd probably botch these sobriety test on purpose, like outrageously bad. And just, what the hell? So, I mean, and I don't know.
Wow.
Not a lot of cops have a good sense of humor. But again, you know what? It's a tough job. I don't think they expect to be fucked around with.
Yeah, I can tell you, the only officer that I ever met who had a sense of humor, I was 16 years old. I had gone, I think, to my second party, and I was supposed to be back home by like midnight. It was a Saturday night, and of course, it's 1:30, so I have to drive 20 miles. So, of course, I'm speeding, going like 95. Cop pulls me over. Woo! He stops, and he's like, "Is everything okay?" I'm like, my mom is going to kick my ass. He's like, what? You know, after the whole driver's license, he's like, have you been drinking? I'm like, no. I drank a few hours ago. He didn't give me a sobriety test. But he starts laughing. He's like, you're worried right now more about your mom than me. He's like, well, what the hell can I do to you? And so he just started laughing. He's like, okay, it's a warning. Don't speed. He's like, follow me. And the guy actually, because it was only a mile from my home, he actually followed me all the way there. And he went, probably like
that's nice.
30. Yeah, but he was just laughing the entire time. I got out, he whips the lights as I pulled into the parking lot of our house, and he like sticks his hand out. And I was like, okay.
I'm sure your mom appreciated that.
Yeah, he made sure to wake her up. That was the whole time.
You know what? If I was him, I would have accompanied you to the door, knocked on the door. Ma'am, I've got your son here. And just watch her like freak out and then have him go, no, everything's fine.
Well, I did have when I was 17, I did have a cop laugh as he confiscated my weed and put it in his pocket. So,
thank you.
That's the one time I had a cop laugh.
I'm gonna have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
I'll introduce everyone else because I have a really good cop story.
Oh, and everybody knows Epic Mike. It's been too long. We became friends when I was starting to go on Geeks and Gamers. But he's been busy, and then he'd come over to the Krigler show with Adam Krigler and all of us on Bay Staff Monday. But he's been busy with the Epic Verse. What's going on? How many movies are you making? When am I getting a part?
Mute it.
Oh yeah, I muted myself because my son walked in and started talking to me. He goes, okay. I was like, and he's like, what? What's that? What are you doing, Dad? I was like, I'm streaming. He's like, oh, sorry. Yeah, man, we have been diligently working. Your name has come up in a couple conversations. I'll just say that. I'm not saying exactly what.
Did they use the words fuck and ass? Or
no, nothing like that. Yeah, man, we've just been diligently working. Dude, movies are a lot. It's a lot of work to get them off the ground, and it's even more when you shoot a significant amount of footage and then you decide to go in a completely different direction with it because we're all artsy creatives, and we went, let's just scrap all of this and start over from the beginning. And you go, yeah, cool, that's another. So, but we are working diligently. We'll definitely have some more announcements down the line, but man, I've been really happy with everything we have so far. Obviously, we have the 2 trailers out for Reflection and Blood and Water, which one is a Viking epic, the other is a like a sci-fi horror film.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, we're trying to kind of mix some genres together. We kind of want to show off some range. I know a lot of people will kind of get started with one project and kind of that's where they launch things. We kind of wanted to give everybody a lot of samples, all coming out of our pocket, all being done by us in-house, because before we ask anybody to help support us, we want you to know that your money and your resources, your time is going in the right place, man, because we actually care about making quality stuff. Unlike apparently Hollywood, who just keeps making $200 million films that looks like it has less budget than a lot of our stuff. So
wouldn't you love to have that budget to be able to make, like several films? But if everybody in the audience, how many of y'all haven't seen the trailer for Epic Verse? I'm going to share it real quick. This is the Viking one, right?
Yeah. I think if this is Blood and Water, yes, that's the Viking epic. Blood and Water.
So we can take a look at it. You're not going to hit me with like a copyright.
No, not at all. You can share it everywhere you want. I will never copyright strike you for helping,
Don't trust them.
Yeah, because Amazon started doing that this last week. When I did my second solo stream on Wednesday, I got hit because I was talking about the trailer. And they never did that before because they're trying, you know what they're doing? They're trying to stifle it. They don't want to repeat what happened with season 1 as everyone picked it apart, rightfully so. But let's take a look at Blood and Water.
Thank you.
Epic Verse.
Be a little quiet.
I want to build my home by the sea. Father warned us of these things, Ivar. And I will not allow it. You dishonor me and take from me your own brother. Coward! Come home before you do which I cannot forgive.
There it is.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah,
that looks like a real movie.
Yeah. Now, it is a short. All the stuff we're doing right now is shorts because, like I said, we're kind of trying to give you a sample size. This is like the appetizer, like platter. Instead of like one thing, it's like a whole bunch so everybody gets to try it out. But yeah, man, we shot this all in Michigan on location. It was really good. It was exciting. My favorite piece of news about this is that we shot this. This was the last thing we shot before we got our major upgrade as we ended up bringing in a whole new crew, bunch of young guys that do like cinematography and stuff like that. So we all shot that on location with like a skeleton crew. And then, with Reflection, we actually had a full production crew on set and everything. We shot that also in a abandoned hospital that was 100% haunted.
I met a couple of ghosts.
Oh yeah, it was pretty weird. It was pretty creepy there. And the thing is, like, because it was an abandoned hospital, we left our equipment there, and me and Josiah actually stayed the night in the hospital to make sure the equipment was safe. So for like 4 nights, we both slept like 3 hours a night because it was just like super eerily quiet, and then occasionally there'd just be like a loud banging. Dude, it was gnarly. I was like, yeah, we're in
People
it
who
now.
died
So.
from Medicaid who were haunting the place.
Yeah, Kamala Care.
Yeah, come on, yeah, man. It was pretty
Hey,
wild in
Mike,
there, man,
when does
but-
it so when does it come out? When is
we don't have
when
a
can we expect
specific
it?
date yet. We're working on an announcement date right now. Actually, we have we're cooking on a little thing right now that I can't really get into, but when we do drop it, it's all going to be on one website together. It'll be all in the same place, so you guys can all check it out at the same time.
Love it.
And yeah, trust me, I will not shut up about it when it's ready to go.
I actually have a question. Are you a tech nerd at all?
I am not.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot about the tech side of things. It was something that I just was like, hey, I got these cool ideas. So I wrote this. I wrote Blood and Water. I wrote Reflection. And then I co-wrote a couple of our other shorts and stuff, but I'm learning the tech side of stuff. So I'm kind of fascinated, but I'll try to answer your question. If you
No, I was just wondering, like, what's the standard? Do they demand that you shoot in 4K minimum?
So no, the first couple things we shot, I think we shot it in 2K. And then when we were like, yeah, that's not what we really want. So like Blood and Water is shot in 4K. And the Reflection was actually shot with oh my god, what is it, a Komodo Red something, and we shot that in 6K.
Yeah,
so yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of wild. That's the stuff I'm still learning about, like watching these guys, you know, figure out exactly what the best way to shoot some of this stuff
in the theaters are only 2K.
Yeah, that's what they were kind of talking about.
People don't realize that. But
I
anyway.
I'd love to see something like Super 8 in black and white. I love good black and white.
Yeah, I would actually love to do an old black and white film. That would be actually really cool.
Well, Netflix has its technical requirements too, that you shoot everything in 6K.
Yep.
I like the way that looks.
Yeah,
it looks like a football.
The thing I
game.
like is that you're doing something original. It's, you know, something that have, you know, we're starving for originality, you know. So it's a new story with new characters, something different than what Hollywood has been giving us, because we're about to talk Alien Romulus, and one of the problems I got is like, okay, we've already seen the better versions of these stories, so why do they keep coming back to this well over and over and over and over again instead of just doing new things? That's what Hollywood is really missing. So I'm glad there's, you know, cats like yourself out there giving us something new and different.
Absolutely. That's why we're looking forward to it. And he's not going to give us a copyright strike, so we'll keep playing it every time.
Absolutely not, man.
But you know, talking about good material, it's like on the solo streams that I've been doing on Wednesdays. Well, Ben, only the second one. I started sharing all the shows that I've like trying to find those little golden nuggets. And Tulsa King comes out September 15th because I fell in love with season 1. And then The Old Man, I don't know if y'all have seen that with Jeff Bridges. It's like it's an espionage show. They did season 1 almost 3 years ago, and it just had this huge delay. So season 2 comes. I know. See, Paul, I don't understand, and we're going to get derailed here. I loved it when we used to watch a television series, and then like 3 months later, you'd have the second season. Not 2 years later, like this House of Dragon or Game. When the hell did that start? I have no idea.
What happened when the budgets went up to, you know, 100 million an episode or whatever? You know, it's like basically that they need that time, man. For those kind of effects, for that kind of filming, they can't do that in a few months.
No way.
Oh, there's no way. Absolutely. I mean, you can do a sitcom in that amount of time. You can't do a show like House of the Dragon.
Okay, well,
that's
a good answer. But that's a good answer. At least that's something. But the old man.
But here's the thing: the problem is they should film. Okay, look, if they're going to do this, what they need to do is film a few seasons all together, right? The problem is getting approved for a second season if they don't know how the first season is going to do. So they kind of shoot themselves in the foot, right?
Well, we got someone here who disagrees, I think, with you. The man of 1,000 talents, Tom from Midnight's Edge.
I don't disagree wholeheartly. I was just going to say, I think streaming is part of the problem, and HBO had no problem getting Games of Thrones out before each season.
But was season 2 approved early on enough for them to start filming early enough?
I don't know. I just think since streaming has come along, they've gotten a lot more lazier.
HBO was not the biggest criminal in all of this. It's everybody else.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to say it was Netflix was the first time I really remembered. Yeah. So, Netflix is when I remember this big gap. for the
yeah,
first
the,
time.
the problem is ultimately is that they killed off network TV. I've talked about this an awful lot. This is the biggest problem with regards to writing stuff, producing stuff. Essentially, the slow death of Hollywood is coming about not from the stuff that we're seeing on TV. It's the fact that pilot season has been killed. Every network used to fund 100 scripts, then shoot 20 pilots and show 4 shows, of which one would survive. That gave work to thousands of people. Stuff that no one ever sees, that sees the light of day, is what made Hollywood work. It's also what created the best shows.
But when you have one show that costs one episode that costs 20 million to make.
Yeah, but they don't need to spend that much on it. That's
I agree. No, I agree. I'm with you on that.
And a lot of that started with streaming. Yeah. I mean, yeah, some of it was with the prestigious shows, but it was when you had stuff like Star Trek Discovery, I remember, was like the highest costing show at the time.
It didn't need to be on streaming.
And it didn't. Well, and it was used as a a ploy to sell CBS All Access. Yeah.
Why not shoot 2 seasons back to back and have them ready?
You know,
so that way when they come out, and then you can film the 3rd season, so it comes out right after.
Well, unfortunately, they become so risk averse that it's like, it's all about it. And this is the thing. And I do think that a big part of this is very much streaming. Is you're not making money the conventional way. So your television show, the more people that watch it, the more money you make on it, and the more people buy things. When it's on streaming, you're not selling the show, you're selling the streaming service. So you need that show to do well. You don't have time, and this is the thing that a lot of people do. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get people that'll give it like 1 or 2 episodes, maybe even 3 episodes to really get going. Where on television, like, you could have a show that, like you said, you shoot a pilot, people enjoy the pilot or like it, and then you green light a couple, you green light a few episodes, and they kind of go, okay, the show has time to build and grow. Like, imagine if they came out now with, like, as much as I love the show, imagine if they came out with Next Generation now. And the cast was still finding their footing. They're still learning things. That show really hits its stride, like in the back half of like season 1 and especially in season 2. But imagine if they had tried that now, they would have canceled it immediately.
No, you're 100%
never gotten anything from it. So
y'all don't mind the time breaks. Y'all don't mind the time breaks.
I do, to a point, because this is the problem with it. The reason those are there, and Epic Mike's right. Like, that's the whole fucking point of this thing with, pardon my French, that I was getting to, is like, yeah, they don't care about how many views it's getting necessarily, because if those people are people that are already subscribed to Netflix, they're not making anything off that. What keeps them going with shows like Stranger Things, and what took Cobra Kai and all these shows so long to get renewed, is they sit back and they look and see if they gain more subscribers over time. Versus, that's what's more important to them. That's exactly what he's saying, and that's exactly what it is. And that's what took so long for some of these shows to get renewed. Is because they literally are just sitting there waiting for Netflix to give them the call. That was what was going on with Cobra Kai.
Well, yeah, because they're not getting paid with ads anymore.
Yep,
exactly. Right? No, and you can also, and back in the old time,
I'm on the ad service.
Yeah, and they're coming back, but like going back to what Paul was saying before. Yeah, we've talked about this plenty of times, and that's the thing is, back in the day, the way you used to run these shows, yes, you would do your pilot, then you'd shoot like 6 episodes, then you take a. And then you'd be like, you have these interims as those shows are starting to show, and you could actually shift things if you needed to. Sometimes it would work for the worse. V is a good example of that, where they tried to reconfigure the show and it came back worse than it was before. But then you have other times where sometimes that works, and then they realize, okay, this is what's clicking with the audience and this is not. So let's key in on this. You have shows like Family Matters that shifted the focus of the show from Carl and the wife to the Urkel and the kid, the teenage aspect of the show, because Urkel clicked, and they were able to capitalize on that because they didn't have a whole season shot already. See, that's the downside of having a whole season shot, is you're pretty much locked into what you're doing now.
One of the benefits of network, the era of network TV, was there's, you had advertising, of course, and you have almost no advertising, let's say on Apple TV. The fact that almost all the new shows came out in September meant that you didn't need to know all the shows that were coming out in September. You just knew that all the shows were coming out in September.
Right.
So you got the TV guide and you went through them and you go, oh, here's a new one. I
missed
haven't
the TV guide.
but I know that all the shows are coming out in September. So I'm going to sample all the shows coming out because they're all coming out in fucking September.
Yeah,
So-
TV guides were like the Bible of television.
Yeah.
I used to love them.
Well,
My
no,
granddad
but
was like,
also-
do not touch my TV guide.
But also,
Yeah, it's
Paul's
like
right.
the
'cause
kids
we
are all
were-
going back to school at the same time.
Yeah.
Everybody's going back to school. So it's now, all right, the parents are done. It's summer's over. All right, what's on TV? Let's check it out. September, perfect time frame. They used to even have like previews of what was coming up.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
you know, for like ABC. I remember they used to have a preview where they were going over all the ABC shows that were dropping.
Oh, yeah.
And so you would sit down and watch and try to figure out what's next and what's coming up. It was cool. Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
different way of doing things now, I guess, because everything circles around streaming. But I think it's all coming, it's all circling back around because we're about to get a whole lot of ads. Pretty much everybody is going with some sort of ad-based tier, whether it's Netflix, whether it's Disney Plus, whether it's Max. Like they're all going to start pushing ads again, and so we're right back where we started from. So maybe all of this stuff can come full circle, and we can start getting back to some good old-fashioned television. I would love.
Well, and there was
can
also a time, and to Amazon's credit, not anymore, but back a while ago, they actually, when they were really trying to get into the movie and show game, they actually did pilot episodes. There was you had a show about Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think it was called like Jean-Claude Van Thompson or Johnson or something like that. You had
Johnson,
the Tick. Yeah, and then you had another show with Kevin Bacon. And so they put out a pilot episode and they asked their audience, hey, what do you guys think? What, if you want these shows, you can vote on their website and then you can go watch the shows. And they were looking at the numbers. They ended up greenlighting all 3 of those shows. And granted, they got canceled pretty quickly, but Netflix is kind of known for, Amazon's kind of known for cutting their losses pretty quickly. Other than, well, not Rings of Power. But back in the day, like if a show didn't perform well on Amazon, it was gone. They'd nix it like immediately.
Well, same thing with Netflix. I mean, they used to cut shows all the time.
Yeah, but sometimes too soon. Sometimes too soon.
Yeah, and so it was I thought it was an interesting take. I was like, oh, they're gonna bring back pilots again. Oh, hey, does this show resonate with our audience? Do they like this show? Cool, we'll do more of this. And then they kind of went away from that. And my guess is because they just needed to get more subscribers.
Actually, they've killed the pilots. I mean, Paul kind of alluded to that earlier, but yeah, we were talking about this not too long ago.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Go on, Tom.
No, I was just saying where they basically have gone away from the pilot season, which is what Paul talked about, because there would actually be 3 times as many pilots produced as actual shows that would wind up on TV, or more than that, something like that.
4 or 5 times.
Wow.
Yep. Wow, big number. I'm going to read some super chats real quick, and then we'll jump into our first topic. We got Eric K for $5. I'm driving, but I'll be listening. Have a great show. I'm driving, but I'll be listening. Have a great show. I'm driving, but I'll be listening. Thank you, Eric K, King of the Mods.
Watch out for body cam.
And then we have Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast, for $6.65. Tell Eric K that fire breathing and sword swallowing in the men's room of the Blue Oyster is no way to spend a Sunday afternoon. Like I said, the shit talking has begun. 2 shit talkers.
Blue Oyster's a deep pool, man. That's a deep pool.
That's Police Academy cut.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
I miss those. I miss them.
What happened at the party last night, guys? Nothing much, just dancing. Lots of dancing.
Leather daddies and
those guys are real. That's the scary part of that.
Well, Harley knows all about that today. We covered that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're catering to a whole new crowd. Skis Spivak Esquire for 14 Canadian dollars. He sent in a super sticker. How you doing, Skis? Can't wait to see you back on the solo stream. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your support. And we got Olaf is in the house for €2. Just saying, I love Sunday GTGS. Can't miss one. Always love it when you're here. And we have Razorburn, member for 4 months. Way to go. Hail to George, my favorite Skinny Puppy fan. Love Skinny Puppy. Love it. I saw their first tour, Vivisex Vix, a long time ago. And then we got Yellow Flash. Hey, Flash. You want? Hey. Send you a link. Come on in for $10. Where are you at One Piece, George? Spend a few minutes and tell Tom about it. I fell in love, Flash, with One Piece. I saw the Netflix live action series first, so that's how it started for me, my journey with One Piece. I saw it, fell in love with it, great writing. I mean, Ichiro Oda is just a master of his characters, his creation.
That show should not have worked the way it did.
It shouldn't have, but it did work.
I don't even know how they did it, to be honest with you.
Well, anime is really hard because specifically some of the best parts of anime are because it's animated and they're not restricted by physical things. And I really was like, how are you guys going to do this? Because that's really tough. And Netflix just kind of went for broke on it. That's the best part about it, is like you kind of have to lean into the camp of anime, because it's not campy when it's anime. It doesn't feel campy.
But it worked. The live action worked, Mike.
But it worked so well because they just said, you know what? We're not going to try to make this gritty and grounded and in real life. No, this is just as ridiculous. The swords are stupid and big. Like, Luffy is stretchy and stuff.
You're right. They basically went with the mentality they used to go at with the comic book movies for the longest time. Yeah.
Yes. It's like this medium has to be translated the way that it is in like animation. Nobody wants to see Luffy with like he's like got vague stretching powers because he was in a science experiment and they try to like rework his backstory. No, he ate a fruit, he's stretchy now. That's really cool. Like, oh, that guy has a giant sword that nobody in real life could ever swing. Well, now he can, because we don't care, because that's what made it popular in the first place. That's why anime is hard to do, because you have to lean into the bombastic like bigness of it all. It's all larger
because
than life.
It used to just be fiction in general, and Script Doctor, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he actually made a post about this very subject basically the other day, of how a lot of these more modern writers just forgot how to create fiction.
Yes.
Right. And just look, you don't need a huge scientific explanation for why Luffy does what he can. You're 100% right. But you're right. That's what Hollywood did from the 90s into the modern day, is they always try to overcomplicate things by, it's like, no, he just ate a fruit, right? Like, that's what I love about Ninja Turtles, the simplicity of it all.
Yep.
Right?
But you know what? I think the real reason that One Piece works is because of the characters and because of the faithfulness to Eiichiro Oda's vision for these characters. That's why live action One Piece works. If you go and look at how these characters are put together, it's a story of found friendship, loyalty to the crew, that sort of thing. Like, that's what people are, that's what resonates with us. It's not so much the flashy stuff, okay, they did Buggy right. Buggy's is great. All right. That was one of the first things that I saw. I said, oh man, they actually did Buggy. Like, they made him look like him. But at the same time, it's like, but who is this character? And then who is Luffy? Who is Nami? Who is Zoro? Like, all of these characters, they speak to us differently because of, I guess just the fact that they're a crew, they're friends. They were all trying to accomplish some goal in their lives. And that's what they focused on. They focused on the story of the characters, not so much the powers and all of the crazy, zany stuff. And that's what you need to do anytime you're trying to adapt any anime. You got to dive into what made that story work. Is it the stretchy powers of Luffy?
No, it's the heart of it.
Right.
It's the heart of it.
Everybody that I've spoken to that I recommended this to, I asked them what did they like about the show, and they all said it's that crew, it's their friendship. And I'm like, they got it. That's the problem when you have a lot of adaptations that don't understand why the story works. You got people adapting things. Well, we're just gonna, like, I believe the Naruto. I think I forget who's doing it, but they've been working on a Naruto live action adaptation, and they say it's just absolute garbage at this point. It's not working because they don't understand the characters. They don't even know who the villains are. Who are the villains in this story? They have no clue, and that's the reason. So
that's why Cowboy Bebop didn't work either.
Right, exactly.
No, Cowboy Bebop was a bomb. But the fact is that when you have Ichiro Oda, he maintained 100% control. That's what you also need. Because what you're talking about is not only for anime, you're talking about it for everything. You had heart, you had hope, you had stories, you had lessons. Yeah, you were motivated, you were inspired, and then you throw in the action and the zaniness, and it's beautiful. So to answer Flash's question, since we spoke last time 3 weeks ago, I still haven't moved forward from when Whitebeard died. That just fucking I haven't moved forward. I'm going to start next week. But what I want to bring it around, since we're talking about good stuff, like we started Tulsa King, Old Man, go check it out. Tokyo Vice. I'm now watching it for the second time. If you haven't seen Tokyo Vice on Max, it stars Ken Watanabe. And a little story I read about it is pretty much like a reporter. It's based on the real life story of an American reporter who works for Japan's largest newspaper that covers crime. right? Like the crime beat. And he goes in and basically helps bring down one of the biggest Yakuza clans in the country. Now, when they first went there, the Japanese government was like, oh, God, another Hollywood film. I didn't realize they can't stand Hollywood films. It's not like everywhere else in the world. When they wanted to go cordon off a block to shoot something, in Japan, they have to go to every single person on that block, every business, every resident, and get their permission before they can go to the mayor and the city council and get a permit to film. Well, the first season was done so beautifully, so accurately, that the country was like, you can do whatever the hell you want. So they got season 2. Wonderful show. Go check it out, Tokyo Vice, except Max just canceled it. Now they're looking for another network. So those are the good shows. Well, I thought one of the great cartoon shows of the year, animations, was X-Men 97.
Yep.
And we haven't heard about Beau DeMayo. So the guy who actually did something good for Disney, Marvel, we all know, we talked about it a little while ago, he was fired. Marvel says X-Men 97 creator Beau DeMayo was fired for egregious misconduct after he alleges Disney stripped credit over gay pride post. Okay, so they're saying that he violated some type of morality.
Yeah, it's really weird how this was like radio silent for the longest time, and then all of a sudden this just starts popping off the other day.
Well, the reason why that happened was because they had an agreement that, during his time away, that he wasn't supposed to promote X-Men 97 in any kind of way. Otherwise, he breaks the deal that they made, the contract. He posted this.
But here's the post. Yeah,
and he broke the deal, and now, Disney came down on him.
But you don't think it's kind of odd? You don't think it's a little bit odd that Disney, of all people who are pushing, trans and brooming and all one of those things, are pissed about his pride post?
Well, you have to understand why he got let go in the first place. From what I've heard, there was a litany of bad things that he did on, in production of this. So they wanted to keep it quiet, but he was. Look, he acted inappropriately.
Okay.
Towards some staff, male staff, and whatever. They wanted to kind of keep it hush hush. But by him doing this now and showing that image, he broke the deal, right? Yep. So now Disney's like, okay, gloves are off. Here's why we let him go.
But see, think about this, okay? That image, he posted that up in June. All right. Yeah. That was during Pride Month. That's when he posted that up in June.
But that was still during that deal that they made.
Right. But why is George asked the question, why is he bringing this out in August? Why is all of this coming to the forefront where he's going to say, this is why Disney let me go. This is what's going down. I was actually going through his list of his posts, and I saw that he was not invited to the Emmys. And that he just posted that up earlier this week on August 12th. He was not invited to the Emmys, even though X-Men 97 is up for an Emmy. He wasn't invited, and he and his people have been going back and forth, trying to get him invited. And it seems like 3 days later, all of a sudden, this image drops, and now he's complaining that Disney did this to him during Pride Month. But bro, that was two months ago. Like
this
that
whole
was 2
thing
months ago.
popped
So
off.
You're bringing this up now, in my opinion, because Disney slammed the door on the Emmys and said, "Nope, you're not coming. Sorry, that's it. End of story." And now he's like, "Oh, I'm just about to let it all loose. I'm just about to tell all the business." And it's like this guy's a drama queen. That's how I see it, man. He's just pushing drama for what? Because, you screwed up during your time with Disney, all right? You got let go, but they still was keeping it cool. They were, oh, no, we just parted ways amicably. Everything's cool. Nothing to see here, folks. And, he had his termination agreement. Hey, bro, don't say nothing about it. We won't say nothing about what you did. You won't say nothing about nothing. And then we're just going to keep it like that. But that's what he decided to do. He decides to come out and drop all kinds of drama and tea into the mix. For what? Because he's not invited to the Emmys. That's basically I think where all of this circles around from, man.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from, but I also think that this has been something that's been slowly leading up to it, and that's assuming we believe the actual accusations. We've seen zero evidence, right? And there were zero accusations that came out before this.
Yeah.
But we had a similar situation with this guy on The Witcher, and that's what they're alluding to. But the problem, what we found out with The Witcher was, and I'm just kind of looking at it from both sides of the spectrum here, is that he was quote unquote difficult to work with, right? Well, what we found out after he left is that he left for the same reason, or was fired, for the same reason Henry Cavill did.
Yeah.
And that was because they weren't sticking to the source material. Now the show comes out, it actually resonates with the audience, both sides of the aisle, right? And when this guy was first interviews, he was talking about how Kevin Feige, and I can't remember the other guy who's the head of Marvel TV or whatever, were so obsessed with the fact that he was a gay black man and how they wanted to bring his experience to the X-Men, right? And everything was fine and dandy with him promoting the show before this, because he was. And that's the other thing where I'm not so sure I agree with. There was a no promotion clause, because they didn't seem to have a problem until and this is what he's saying, I think, is they didn't seem to have a problem until he posted that picture on in Pride Month. That's when they decided they were going to strip him of all his credit for showrunner of season 2 and rewrite his work, because they weren't going to do that before that. You're right. At first, the way they kind of let him go, they didn't say Jack. He didn't say Jack. They kind of seemed like they went their separate ways. They were still going to use his scripts. He was promoting the show on Twitter and other places, but it didn't seem like, because that was the moment that and I think you're also right that him being disinvited or not invited to the Emmy thing also probably was a clincher for him. But that's the way he's coming off.
Out.
Yeah, and the way he's coming off though is
but that's like when you follow the timeline, because he was fired in March, and then from March to June, it was pretty like safe. And then all of a sudden he puts this post out, and then he even says on June 13 is the day that Disney said you are no longer going to get your season 2 credits. That's what he says in his post.
Right, but let's cut through all
okay, so what's going on with this? And again, it's hard to believe him because,
well, it's also hard not to believe him, because I'll tell you why.
Well, wait.
Sorry, I don't mean to, I just got to say this real quick. It's hard not to believe him, or it's hard to believe, not to believe him at the same time too, because I'll tell you what, whenever anybody's naked photos get out there, I get sent them immediately. And all the photos of this guy that are out there were stuff that were on his OnlyFans prior to this, as far as I know. So I have yet to see any accusations, anybody coming out saying I got this picture, that picture, or whatever. Because usually people produce receipts when they get shit like that. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the middle on this whole thing. At this
what
point.
I'm going is to the bottom line. Disney Plus has one flop after another. Paul, in your experience, how do they fire someone who finally brings them a success on Disney Plus?
Well, it hasn't been a success ratings wise.
But I'm talking about with the fan, engendering fan positivity.
That's why he got fired, because the people actually liked it.
Isn't that what they want?
No, that's completely goes against his Disney.
Well, he was technically fired before it even premiered, but yeah.
Well, because
I think the pictures are not being released because it does not hold up to the image of how black men promote themselves. Maybe wasn't quite packing it well enough. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is this: there's nothing that's more important to Disney, and I have a couple friends.
It took a while for you guys to get.
But like I have a couple friends that I know that have worked for Disney and stuff before, and one of the things that everybody consistently says is that Disney is more worried about their image than they are anything else. They will take hits. Yes. They will settle out of.
So they fired a gay black man.
That's why they gay black man, but it's because whatever he did for them, they thought that the image or the narrative around him was going to be more of a problem for them than just getting rid of him. Right. But then you give them a contract and you say, hey, because we know they do this because they do this with even their movies, where they say, hey, don't talk about the movie, don't talk bad about the film, don't spoil anything, and we'll give you this nice chunk of money. So you give them a contract and you say, hey, just keep quiet, just stay out of it, don't worry about it. But if you have people, and this is the difference, and this is a thing that we've seen in general too, a lot of people that work in the industry now, unfortunately, are about the money. It's yes, the fame and the status.
I thought it was all about the woke.
Well, the woke leads to them getting a lot of money, that even when they don't make good products,
right?
Whereas other people, they go, yeah, the money's nice, that's great, but like, what about me? What about my image? What about my credits? What about the fact that I made something good and I want my name attached to it and stuff? And I think that that's probably where he's coming from. Is like, oh, all right, man, you're not gonna let me go to the Emmys? Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm kind of done with it, which then leads to social media, and we've seen time after time. One tweet can get your whole career destroyed. If it
we
affects
saw that
the
with
bottom
Gina.
line.
We saw that with Gina. But here's a quick question. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, and I thought it was kind of interesting because it does feel similar in that, like, oh, look at this. This guy said one thing that the company really didn't like, and now They threw him right under the bus, just like they did Gina. And it shows Disney does not care about your identity politics. They care about, are you going to be a company person? Are you going to fall in line?
That seems to me the holy script.
Yep. And if you
so
don't,
what is
then you're out.
So the story that came out, like Dante was saying, was he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I read the piece from Jeff Snyder, who said basically, you know, people were getting inboxed on their emails, you know, photos in, you know, suggestive nature. You know, I mean, you're logging into your email one day and boom, there's Beau DeMayo, you know, in the full flesh. You know, like, whoa, what's going on? Yeah. Like, yo. I mean, if that's what was going down, start to think about, you talk about the image, right? You start thinking about the image of it. Start thinking about it from this standpoint. What's that going to look like if the people that were getting these that are not cool with that, if they start speaking out? Now it looks like you have a gay black man who's basically being a, you know, somewhat of a predator, maybe, you know, inside your company, and Disney's not saying anything about it. I think that's probably what prompted this whole thing to say, you know what, we got to get this guy out of here, but we got to do it in the safest, most gracious way possible, because if we don't, we got a shitstorm on our hands. We got to make sure that, because look, Disney's not, you know, they have no problem with the LGBTQ community, and they definitely don't want this kind of news getting out there like that, because they already have that reputation, okay, that Disney is all into the grooming, this, and that. So they're probably saying, you know what, let's just get this guy, ease him out the door before the series even starts. All right, let's just ease him out the door. Let's find some sort of a way to cut ties with this guy where it's amicable, where it's fair for him, for us. Hey, we'll still use your season 2 scripts as long as you know, don't violate this termination agreement. You know, you're in the clear. Just, you know, go your way, and, you know, whatever, you know. And when you look at the actual quotes from Disney, like Brad Winderbaum said, no, we didn't even fire him. We just parted ways. You know, that's what Brad Winderbaum said. So it's like, okay.
Way though of saying we fired him.
But then they came back and later said, nah, yeah, he was fired. He was terminated because of this and this. And now we hear the real truth. See? So what was said at that time back in March, I'm like, come on, that's not the real story. There's more to this story. And now we're starting to find out, okay, this is what was going on. See, since he decided to throw Disney under the bus, Disney's like, okay, gloves are off now. Here we go. Let's talk about it. You know,
for Disney to fire a gay black man, he had to have done something. I'm sorry.
Right.
There's no way they would fire a gay black man.
Or didn't do something.
That's what I've been saying. Like, because I've been waiting for months for some sort of smoking gun. And they gave us some smoke, but it sure wasn't a smoking gun per se, right? Because I don't disagree with you. Like, I do see where you're coming from. It does make sense from an optical point of view, especially the type of rhetoric that Disney has been running, that they would run interference for something like this if it were happening. But we have had nobody actually come out and say it before, but all of a sudden now they're saying it here. And then you'll have a bunch of people saying, oh yeah, I heard the same thing about it on The Witcher and stuff like that. Yeah. The problem I have here is we've seen too many times now where when somebody doesn't go along with whatever it is they want, they will find a way to get rid of them one way or another. Even things that make little sense. Cause it's like, I'm sitting here going with you. Like I see it on the other side too, is like, why would you even try to put yourself in that position where you have to explain it? Again, granted, they do say that they gave him a warning. He didn't follow the warning. If that's true, I totally understand why.
See, the difference is like firing someone like Gina Carano, a straight white Christian woman, they could do that with no problem, right? They don't even need an excuse to get rid of her, for, you know, for whatever they want. But a gay black man, that's harder to get rid of.
Isn't that the wholly untouchable in Hollywood?
Imagine that. I'm just
email. Think about that. That's two. You got race and you got sexuality. I mean, you got two of the big. The next one is gender. You know, that it's just pretty much untouchable right now in Hollywood. And you combine them into one person. Like, there's no way in the world they're going to fire that guy unless they.
Paul, what were you trying to say? Yeah, Paul.
My point is that along those lines, does HR then have to put a checkbox victim firing executive in there? So to fire someone who is gay and black has to be fired by a non-binary trans midget in a wheelchair?
Yeah, you have to find.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
You have to find somebody that's more of a minority than the black gay guy.
Yeah, because playing here intersectional social justice bingo.
Yeah,
well, it's funny you mentioned that.
He's sitting in his office and he hears the wheelchair coming down the hallway, and he's like,
God damn.
Yeah.
He's like, I done fucked up.
The only problem I have with this now is that Disney has now put themselves in a position where they can be accused of covering this type of behavior up.
Yes.
Right? That's the problem I have now. So like, I don't know if they would, unless they just didn't think it through, because now he's also threatening legal action. So we know what that means is we're possibly going to get some actual receipts come out here. And again, I'm giving the guy the half-assed benefit of the doubt now that I've seen more often than not when somebody won't go along with what they want, they will do this to somebody as opposed to the other way around. Like they'll cover up endlessly for people who will go along with the subject matter. And the other thing that kind of goes with the timing.
Anthony Weiner.
What was that? Sorry, go ahead on.
Are we sure that he pulled an Anthony Weiner?
That's just it.
We don't know. We don't know for sure.
No.
Because there's no pics. I don't want to see the pics, but
I don't want to see those pics.
No.
Yeah,
but we haven't actually had a person come out and say, yes, I got emails from him. Yes, I saw. Like I get emails from Paul all the time. I've seen him in less clothes than I want to admit. But
but remember, like,
but the guy had
Gina,
an OnlyFans. Like, what are the odds that he would have any issues shooting stuff to people in the email? Because
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But like, at the same time, I'm still stuck on this thing of why would they do this to this guy unless he just wasn't? Because the timing of this also corresponds with a lot of the reports we were hearing when Marvel was shifting. So I also brought this up the other day on our show. I wonder if maybe he wasn't a victim of more of a friendly fire kind of thing. Like we're shifting away from this woke shit, and he is obviously one of the woke hires, regardless of how X-Men, because they fired him before X-Men even came out, right?
Yep.
So that's the thing.
It was finished, but before it was released.
Yeah, before it even came out, so they didn't know if it was going to be a success or not at that point. So I wonder if he just wasn't a victim of friendly fire, of them just trying to move out some of this woke mentality in the company, and he just isn't the woke mentality in the company necessarily just because he's a black gay man, right? Like, because I had to remind people back then, is like, look, until something comes out, it may just very well be that just because he's a black gay man doesn't mean that he's woke, right? He's actually a fan of these things and he understands storytelling.
Well, you could tell by the way how good that season was. The guy is a real fan.
Absolutely.
There's no way you could write what he did or what they did without being a real fan. That was some of the best X-Men I've seen on screen probably ever, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
100%. But hold on, we just got a $50. It's one of my first ones. Wow. Where did it go? Wow. That's the wrong guy. Yeah. Here we go. We got DB Wild for $50. Not often I can catch GTGS streams live. So here's a little something to help the coffers. Love all you guys on your own channels as well. Cliche incoming. Keep on keeping on, y'all. God bless you, DB. That is awesome. Keeps the lights on. We're growing. Have new shows coming out. Every Wednesday I stream solo. Every Sunday you can see we have amazing people here. Verbal is always here. Love it. Thank you. That was amazing. Really appreciate it. Now, Deadpool, I was kind of shocked. Deadpool and Wolverine was took second place this weekend. It was knocked out of the number one spot by something I didn't expect, Alien Romulus. But
I did.
You
not surprised, yeah.
I would. I thought it had more legs.
No.
I didn't think it was going to go.
You know what? This movie is so divisive, man, in a way of like just the fans. Because honestly, I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice. And yeah, it has problems up the ass. And
Deadpool.
And I could get into that, but I thoroughly enjoyed it as a popcorn movie. Honestly, it might be for me my fourth favorite Alien movie.
Oh, Alien. Hey, I thought you were talking about Deadpool you saw twice.
Oh, so no, I thought we were talking about Alien.
No, yeah, I was curious. Yeah. It got displaced by Alien.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I saw Alien twice already, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Then I want to get into that.
Stay at the top, though. That's the question.
It was promoted like a teen slasher horror film.
Yes,
inside the Alien milieu. Even though it didn't turn out that way, that's how it was promoted, and I thought that was brilliant. Just a simple teen slasher movie with the alien, which I thought, wow, I really want to see.
Okay, if we're going to be fair, though, the aesthetics, it felt like an Alien movie, man. I love that old 80s tech look, and I feel like they nailed that. Okay. Of course, the cast was awful. They were awful because they were just fodder for the alien.
Yeah,
but the look of the film felt like Alien.
Yeah, the trailer.
I haven't seen it. I'm going to say I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all. No, go ahead. Y'all talk about it. I wanted to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it. Go on, Mike.
Here's the problem. Like, and I think the problem, a lot of people like Chris Gore hated it. I know like a lot of other people didn't like it because they were expecting, Ridley Scott, James Cameron, aliens. The problem is we will never get that level of sci-fi again. And I'll tell you why.
What?
80s sci-fi, even 90s sci-fi, but more 80s, 70s, late 70s. The people in these sci-fi movies felt real. They felt like real people. They lived, they worked, they fucked. They were real human beings, right? We're not going to ever get that level again because Hollywood is afraid of intimacy. They're afraid of making real people. So we'll never have another Escape from New York. We'll never have another Aliens. We'll never have another Blade Runner because Hollywood doesn't know how to write real people in sci-fi anymore.
Nope. I can say this much. I can say this much because I didn't go see the film either, and I'm glad I didn't. Because some of the fans, I don't think it's so much they're expecting, and yes, I guess you could argue that that's what you're saying to a point, that they're expecting like the Cameron or the Ridley Scott alien. Because I think the problem is the Ridley Scott aliens, not the original Alien, but the Prometheus Covenant problem.
Oh, that's
right? I don't even count those. I don't even count those.
That's the problem. This movie does, though. That's what I've been told, and that's why I'm glad I didn't go see it. And that's part of the problem I think some of the fans are having is that some people were under the impression that we were going to get away from that gay robot shit, and it turns out we're not. We're still stuck in that universe.
Gay robot? Wait, no. Honestly, the android was the best part of the film.
I know. In this film, yes, but what turned a lot of the audience off in the last two films is that Ridley Scott didn't want to make a movie about an alien. No, he wanted to make a movie about gay robots. Let's be real. That's what it was really about.
There's like a weird thing. Like, I mean, I haven't watched the Prometheus movies, but I mean, I from what I know of them, they're far more like heady concepts, and they're like high concept sci-fi. I'm not saying they're good, but they're obviously
two
like
movies
trying to
where Ridley
address
Scott's
something.
sniffing his own parts, basically.
Yeah,
yes.
But this movie does kind of balance both of those because it does touch on some of those like, hey, there's obviously more going on here than just, if it's just a bunch of teenagers on a spaceship getting fucked up by an alien, the movie works. But they also were like, hey, you know what? But we're also in a universe that has bigger implications. So then you also, I kind of liked that there's a secondary antagonist that has nothing to do with the main plot of the story.
I agree.
And has its own interest that it's interjecting into that made everything far more complicated for everybody in that situation. Like, I kind of dug that concept. And that's why I enjoyed it. But I also haven't seen Prometheus films. I just know of them and I know some of their story stuff. So I wasn't expecting any of that. I just wanted to go watch a movie that felt like Alien. And I felt like the aesthetic was perfect. The sound design was great. I even think the pacing is really good.
How was the story?
The story's fine. The story's fine.
A lot of people don't like the story, but it's very simple, man. And I kind of dig that. And like the complications aren't even like the story got complicated. The complications are kind of like the once the story just keeps going. Like there's an ending to this movie that happens that the movie could have just been done.
Yes,
and I thought that's where it was. I actually thought that was going to be the ending of the film, and they were going to leave it open-ended, like, ooh, something could happen. Maybe we'll get more. And I respect the effort because the movie kind of goes, nah, fuck that. We're just going for broke. And they do. They just, the third act, like the last part of the film is absolutely insane, bananas.
It shouldn't have happened. And I'll tell you why. Like Fede Alvarez or Fede Alvarez, the director.
Yeah.
I like what he did with the new what's the name of that horror film he did?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead. I like what he did with Evil Dead, right? Like the guy's great with creature creation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he was flexing too hard in that third act. Like you said, Mike, it should have ended, and I know which part. I know where it should have ended, right?
Yes.
It kept going, and I think he wanted to flex his muscles with the creature creation thing, and that didn't work. That didn't work at all. But up until that point, the pacing, George, you asked about the pacing. Mm-hmm. It was a slow burn until it wasn't.
Yes.
And then it just became a horror film. And that's what I liked about it.
Well, that's good. But here's the thing. I haven't, again, like I haven't seen it, but I've heard comments that this isn't a prequel. This is an intraquel.
It takes place between 1 and 2.
Alien and Aliens.
Okay. It's between Alien and then Aliens. It's in the middle of that. This takes place in that time frame.
Is it correct? Is it correct that they had the synthetics in there, right? And that the synthetics were the one who can deal with it. But then the question becomes, why send the humans?
It's more complicated than that.
Okay, that's why I'm asking. I don't know, because I was like, when I heard that, I was like, again, I haven't seen it, but I'm like, if that's the basis of a story, then you kind of like kill the drama there. If you go, then it feels false. So that's
it's not the basis of the story. The basis of the story is you have 5 young people who are kind of imprisoned in a way on this mining planet, and they just want to get away. And they find a derelict ship that they feel like can help them get off that planet and get away. That's really the basis of the story.
Okay, so you're saying it's like a popcorn flick, a good Saturday afternoon horror.
Absolutely.
Okay, well then I'm gonna go check it out. I'm gonna go check it out then.
And you know what? And I will say this: the face huggers have never been more menacing, man. Like I feel like they were the most menacing I've seen them in any Alien film. Like the face huggers were genuinely scary in this movie.
I want to get one of the popcorn buckets.
When I watched it, I
Big
came away from
vaginas.
it and I was like, that was absolutely worth my ticket price.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I wasted my time. I didn't feel like the movie tried to waste my time. And I never felt once like it was trying to it never felt like it was preaching at me or yelling at me about anything. It felt like these guys had a really interesting concept for a film. And yeah, the third act, it is a mess. Like it is wild. Like that is like the whole third act is a movie in and of itself.
So they killed the movie.
A whole thing.
It hurts it a little, but you'll still enjoy the film.
Okay, so here it is: Alien, Aliens, and then Alien Romulus. How would you order them?
Alien Romulus last for sure. I mean,
yeah.
You're never going to beat James Cameron. I mean,
right. No, but I'm talking about story-wise. I'm talking about story. Like,
even story-wise,
integral to the whole Aliens. Like, does it fill in the pieces, or is it just
it's just a standalone?
There's a lot of connective
franchise.
There's connective tissue in there,
franchise.
but
that's literally all it is. To me, it doesn't really add anything necessarily to the overall story.
Right.
It is popcorn entertainment. If that's what you want, you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think I went in maybe expecting a little more, but it is what it is. I think the first half of the story is the best, 1000%. I think once they get on the ship and then they figure out, okay, this is what's going on, and then a certain character appears, and then we see, okay, they're just going back to the old school. The corporation is the villain. Once they get to that point, it kind of lost me. And then the second part of that third act was just nonsense. It was just nonsense.
Well, that's the thing I don't understand.
Yeah, hold on. We got the Viking of Vision himself, Andre from Midnight's Edge. Andre,
Greetings. I heard you were talking Alien Romulus.
Yes. Your thoughts on it? Did you see it?
I did see it.
And what did you think?
Like when I did my review, I spent like 4 or 5 minutes first establishing where I came from in order to explain my review of it. In short, I did not like it. I did not like it at all. But that is because of its extreme connections to Prometheus and to Alien Covenant, more so Prometheus, because this movie, it takes place after the first Alien movie in the timeline, but actually it's a sequel to Prometheus. That entire third act everyone is talking about, this is the throwback to Prometheus. This is what makes this a sequel to Prometheus, much more so than it is to the original Alien. In order to get this movie, to get the gist of it, there's you actually have to have seen Alien and Alien Covenant and all of the supplemental material and bonus videos that were put on YouTube and stuff like that to those, first and foremost, and then the original by Ridley Scott. And that's when you have the basis to
homework
understand what's going on.
Actually, I'm gonna disagree with that. I don't think you have to have even seen anything from Prometheus or its sequel for that ending happened because of what the girl did. And again, I don't want to give away too much, but it could have just been easily written away as, oh well, this is what happens when you combine this. And
I
this.
see.
There wasn't like you could not have seen Prometheus, and you would have understood the ending.
The implication is that if you watch those movies, you'll know. It's like almost like the design of that creature is like a little nod to, oh, look at that, But if you don't know, I know people that didn't see those movies that went, oh, it's like just a.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
weird
that is
thing,
the strength of the movie, that you don't have to have seen anything. You can go in without having seen even the first Alien, and it works as a slasher in space where teenagers go to die. It works on that level without having seen anything. But if you want to enjoy or take away anything more from the movie other than the pure slasher level, like if you wonder why is the third act shaped like this, like if you want to avoid the feeling of I'm missing something here.
Yeah. So is this basically, so Andre, is this basically like sci-fi for Gen Z?
Yes and no.
Oh.
Yes, because again, this movie operates on several levels depending on how much you want to get out of it. Yes, it's slasher for Gen Z if you just want to see kids die in space, and if that's all you want out of it, yes, it's slasher for Gen Z. The moment you want something more out of it, homework is piling on, and then it's also a matter of understanding that homework. And this is why I didn't like the movie, because I fundamentally disagree with the direction that the Alien franchise has taken under Ridley Scott. I liked Alien when it was, in a sense, a Lovecraftian horror that you have this spaceship, that these truckers in space, and then they suddenly encounter some ancient evil, completely unexplained and ununderstandable to humans. It is something beyond us. It's an ancient primordial thing that may be out there in half of the universe for all we know. I like that. Whereas what has happened in under Ridley Scott is that no, Weyland-Yutani wants to claim these creatures because technically they are rightfully theirs because they were created by one of their inventions in the past 10 years.
Oh, wow.
That is what I don't like about this movie, because it further solidifies that all the aliens you see, they were created by the android David.
Okay.
It was done after the events of Alien.
But it doesn't really, they don't really get into that in the film.
They don't get into that.
No, they don't touch any of that.
But not explicitly. But by it taking the direction that it does, that is implicitly what is being enforced as we haven't memory hold anything. This is canon. The entire alien species was created in its current form by David, the android, and it was done in the past 10 years.
I thought it was more like the extensions of the aliens, not the original alien.
No, but what they imply in Covenant is that David got us to the proto-alien that we get.
Yeah, the proto-alien, but not the very first.
But the
first alien.
No, not the very
first alien
one.
looked like the dolphin-nosed alien. Like that was the original alien. And that on the other end is why I also had a problem with Resurrection on the other end, is because they do this alien human hybrid. It's like, you dumb shits, the xenomorph already was an alien human hybrid. That's the whole point. But anyway, that's
it is. It's
I have not. The reason I didn't say it was because of the fact that I've lost faith in anything produced by Ridley Scott. I mean, to me, American Gangster was his last great thing. He's kind of, to me, turned into the Mars movie was pretty good. Or which one was first?
And that is what I think as well. That if this was
but I agree with George.
Alvarez, and the whole movie had been more like the first two acts, because it's only in part 3. Or in Act 3 it really falls apart, it would have been a much more enjoyable movie. And I have not one bad word to say about the direction, the practical effects. For everyone who enjoy it, I understand it.
What about acting?
What ruined it for me?
The acting is the worst part. The cast is the worst part of the film.
Well, they're a bit on the young side.
They are forgettable. There's one character that you'll love, and the rest of them
one
are
character that has to carry the movie because he's fundamentally the only part of the movie, the only character that should have any idea what's going on. But like, I appreciated this because one of my one complaint I have a lot of times in like television today or movies is like they'll make people intentionally stupid to force the plot to happen. And this, you never really feel like they're intentionally stupid. You go like, I get why they would do it that way because they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And like they even imply some things with like some characters have knowledge of some things and others have knowledge of others, and so it never feels like anybody just gets a knowledge dump out of nowhere. And then the one character that does get it It absolutely makes sense why. And then that actor, that specifically him, he carries the film. He puts the movie on his back.
Hollywood has stopped casting a variety of looking people. They're all young and kind of good look. You'll never get a Yaphet Kotto again in a movie.
God, great.
Ever again.
Man.
Ever. I mean, this is, you just won't get those characters anymore. They're all dumb young things, very much like National Treasure, the TV show, the terrible TV show. It was just a whole crap load of Gen Zs. Like they're all good looking.
But it goes back to what I said about Hollywood doesn't write people anymore.
No.
In sci-fi.
No, they write caricatures.
Yeah, and on that note, there's actually one thing that I want to highlight with the cast here. I think that they were young for that very reason, because it's not just that they are young, as you alluded to. These are basically just kids who are either born or tricked into servitude for an evil corporation. And of course, there is some level of messaging in that. But the whole point is that they are then supposed to suddenly crew a spaceship that they have never been in. So they, by design, don't know what the hell they're doing. Now, I think that this is a reaction to the previous movie, Alien Covenant, because you don't technically need to have seen that, but just to get everyone up to speed here. One of the major criticisms in that movie, and even with Prometheus, so this may be a Ridley Scott thing, is that every person on that ship, even if they were supposed to actually be competent, were the biggest bunch of idiots that have ever graced the big screen with their presence. If you doubt me on this, just check out like the pitch meetings for Prometheus and Alien Covenant, because that highlights just how incredibly stupid everyone on screen is, just in order for the story that Ridley Scott wants to happen can happen, because he doesn't have the message to forward. There's no message here, so in that sense, so that's good and well. But instead, he has a philosophical message.
But even within that context, if you had a cast that looked like The Breakfast Club or anything from John Hughes, who could cast young people brilliantly, they're not doing that anymore. Like a John Hughes film, almost every single one of those actors became a star in their own right.
Well, and I've noticed
they get Rachel Zegler.
Not a single person in this movie that's going to become a star in their own right.
Because even Molly Ringwald wasn't gorgeous. I mean, she was cute. She was a cute girl, girl from the suburbs. I mean, no, I'm not saying, look, compared to some of the actresses now, she wasn't the sexiest, but she was the cute girl, the cute girl next door. Right.
There's a naturality that's missing, though, especially in actresses. It's more so in actresses, some actors too, but like, especially notice this whenever I'm watching a period piece, like the women come off like way too self-aware, way too modern, almost like they won't allow themselves to act in a way that women used to act. Right. Like men have no problem because we're, you know, like, well, we just kind of assholes. Yeah. We just kind of fall into but like, and I think it also falls back to points we've made before about how boys and girls fundamentally play with toys differently. And I think that the way women have adapted to social media and the way women have adapted to modern isms as far as how women are treated and how they think of themselves and portray themselves and everything, it's like they cannot disconnect themselves from the modern era, especially. I mean, again, I'm sure there's definitely some male counterparts that we could bring up.
I have to get going. Thank you for inviting me. I think
Paul, thank you.
Much better if Rachel Zegler was in it.
What? There's a prime example of what I'm talking about.
Rachel Zegler's the problem, that unibrow Oompa Loompa. But I see you dropped your Beau DeMayo right in front of the screen, so I know you got to go.
Yeah, my leaf. I have to go very quickly. My cop story was I was caught speeding. The cop comes up, does the roll down the window thing. He looks in the window and starts smiling, and he said, "Hey, dude, how long are you in town?" I'm going, "Oh, does he recognize me from my frantic days?" And I'm just sort of playing along. I say, "Oh, I'm here for 2 weeks. What are you doing here?" "Oh, convention." He said, "Hey, dude, like next time, don't speed." And he like took off. I'm going,
"Oh, that's nice."
Like, that was nice. What happened? Okay, my wife's uncle was a member of the Sudbury SWAT team. And he gave all the kids real cop SWAT hats. The real deal. Sudbury's a town in Northern Ontario.
And you had it on?
I had it on, and I didn't know.
That's funny.
He thought I was.
He thought you were a sniper.
Yeah, he thought I was a cop, and I just went along with whatever he did. So I got away with that.
That's
anyway,
beautiful.
gentlemen, always a pleasure. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of the show, and anytime, George, happy to.
Oh, wonderful!
join
Thank you,
Have a
Paul,
good
for
time,
coming.
everyone. Bye.
See you, Paul.
Take care, Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
Appreciate you,
I
bro.
think also we are losing Andre, correct?
I unfortunately I couldn't stay long. I just
Not a
heard
problem.
you were talking Alien Romulus, so I just want you to share what I think is a major issue, because I just know that with me, like my review for those that have seen it, I will not repeat it word for word here, but I did not appreciate the movie, and it's not so much because of the movie itself, but rather the larger implications of its connections to the other movies and what that does for the rest of the franchise. And I think for those who like Alien, just get used to Ridley Scott. He has full control of the franchise right now, so it's all about AI. It's all about this philosophical God versus man, creator versus the createe. This is the motif that is recurring right now. A case in point, they just dropped a teaser for the upcoming Alien TV series that Disney is also working on with showrunner Noah Hawley. It's called Alien Earth. You know when in the timeline that is set?
No.
A couple of years before Prometheus.
Oh, here we go. So
And what it's about, I don't know in details, but from what I gather, somehow they're going to connect it to the aliens, but primarily it's about the creation of the synthetic people, of the animals.
Andre, if I'm wrong, but does it feel like Ridley Scott's become kind of like, in many ways, Tom Clancy? You know how they keep pumping out Tom Clancy books, but he actually doesn't write them. They buy the rights to it. It's like it's a Tom Clancy novel.
Not quite, because I actually would prefer if that were the case, because he's still there and he oversees. If anything, I would have liked for there to be less oversight. I mean, I would have preferred if they had gone in the direction that James Cameron took the franchise in, because he actually really added to it. Like he added to the queens and a whole bunch of the mythology that, of course,
life cycle and shit,
that Ridley Scott is perverting right now, and that he did in Covenant and the shorts and stuff there. Like for instance, the reason there haven't been any queens on screen in the prequels yet is because David hasn't made them yet. That's what he's doing in the aftermath of Covenant. That's the direction the Alien franchise is going right now, and that is why I reacted so strongly to Romulus first and foremost, because while on the surface being a traditional Alien film, which is good and well, and that I wanted to like, in Act 3 it just solidifies the connection to Prometheus, to Covenant, and to Alien Earth, and to whatever else Ridley Scott is planning. I don't think that he's a good custodian, because his ideas are good and well and interesting, but to me they are antithetical to the Lovecraftian element that was there in the first and the second and the third Alien movie. And then you get like this transhumanism, this comes in Begins and Resurrection. And they go full on with that here in Romulus, like it's all transhumanism. And for those that have been following, this Alex fella, that's another reason why I react so strongly. So I don't begrudge anyone liking Romulus, but it's the implications of where it's going in the larger context. It's got
the issue that Star Wars has, that Star Wars got almost immediately, where all roads lead to The Last Jedi.
Yes,
and the more that it connects to that, more that it connects to future Star Wars, the more you cringe at it, because man, even if I like this show, I know that what's coming is something that I'm not happy with. It actually happened just recently too with House of the Dragon.
Oh yeah.
You know, all roads lead to Daenerys. Like now, you know, and it's like all roads lead to season 8. You know, it's like everybody knows what's coming, and being reminded of that is an immediate like removal of that enjoyment that you might have. You're like, fuck, I know that everything that's coming down the pike is awful. So
Prometheus is where I kind of turned on Ridley Scott, because I was like most geeks. I knew better than to say anything negative about the guy, but like after that movie, I'm like, you pretentious son of a bitch.
That's a good word for it, pretentious.
You think you can outdo what James Cameron did better than you? I'm sorry. Yes, you Alien may be your favorite film, but I know why he's jealous. He is jealous because Aliens made more money. It got nominated for all the Oscars, and it's the movie that everybody uses for the basis from now on for the whole life cycle of the aliens. And it also solidified the idea that is kind of set up in the first film is it doesn't matter who the space jockey was. Doesn't matter who the engineers are. All it matters is they had this biological weapon and it got away from them. And it's basically an analogy for biological warfare or nuclear warfare or however you want to look at it. Basically what Andre's been saying for a while, and that's the biggest problem with Prometheus and Covenant, is it's basically Ridley Scott dealing with, is there a God or not?
Right.
Him dealing with his own personal shit, right, and not liking that people don't associate him more with Alien than like they do James Cameron, when in actuality, Alien is probably the least Ridley Scott movie he ever made.
Look, I've been saying that even on my I did a review of Alien Romulus, and I've been saying this for like years now, and people give me shit about it. I don't care. I think Tony Scott was a better director. I've
said that for years, bro.
I think Tony Scott, movie for movie, Tony Scott was the better director.
He understood audiences more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, so you and Tom have something common that I can confirm. Tom has been saying that for years.
Yeah,
Tony was better.
And I get shit for it. I get so much shit for it from film scholars and other critics. But I'm like, dude, movie for movie, pound for pound, Tony Scott to me was the better director.
I get this every time I compare Ridley Scott with Zack Snyder. But hey,
wow! Andre, you just bent him over.
There's a good point there, because I am somebody that was a big defender of Zack Snyder for a long time. I like 300. I actually love the Watchmen director's cut.
Same,
absolutely, 100%,
fucking phenomenal.
Yes.
And I actually was not a hater of Man of Steel or Batman vs Superman. I didn't think they were masterpieces or anything, but I think they were decent. But after watching Rebel Moon Part 1 and 2, I was like, oh my god, was I like wrong the whole time? I had to go back and like read, like take stock of my opinions of this guy. And I think
it's because he does great work when it's other people who've written.
When he is constrained as a filmmaker, he can do a good job. And I think that the problem sometimes is like any artist that's passionate enough about something and works hard enough at something can make something that resonates with people. You can make a good movie that doesn't make you permanently a good filmmaker.
Zack Snyder's a good director. He's not a good writer.
He's not a good writer at all.
He's a terrible writer. But like when he adapts other people's work, he's fine.
Absolutely.
When he tries to write his own stuff, like Sucker Punch, oh boy.
Oh,
and the biggest problems that people had with like Batman vs Superman and Man of Steel is when he takes liberties with the source material and goes, what if this thing could happen here? And you go, yeah, that stuff is stupid. Just like stick to it. Trying to be faithful to the source material is what fans ask for when you're adapting comic books. It's what they ask for when you're adapting graphic novels and stuff. That is his strength. But yeah, leaving him to write his own stuff, he's not a good writer at all. And a lot of times in Hollywood lately, I've noticed it's like this guy's competent as a filmmaker. They're a good filmmaker. Like Rian Johnson is not a terrible director. He directed one of the best episodes of Breaking Bad. Like he's competent as a director, not a good writer. He's an okay writer.
Especially with his attitude that he wants to piss off at least half the audience. But Zack Snyder has the same problem that the director of the original Wonder Woman did. Wonder Woman, she didn't write it. Great. Everybody loved it. She wrote 1984.
Oh,
we all it was hard.
We don't talk about 84, man.
And what's funny is that Zack Snyder had like a massive influence on the first Wonder Woman story.
He did.
And you can see where he was like, yo, this is more Wonder Woman than this is Wonder Woman. And then when she leaned into like the really heavy feminist overtones and the egregious like consent thing with the guy having the body take, you're like, yo, what are we doing, man? It kind of feels like bad like female fanfic, bro. We're like, you know,
it was horrible.
Yeah, I know Andre had to get running here, but no, like
I do have to get running.
And I will back him up a little bit on the whole Zack Snyder is a good comparison to Ridley Scott. Now, I will say, like, yes, Ridley Scott is a much more prestigious, better director overall. But at the end of the day, he's not wrong, because both of them are basically just, at best, cinematographers and production
cinematographers. There you go.
And production designers. They're not actual directors. They're not storytellers. They're not real creatives. And when they do create, you can tell that the scenes start to show.
And my issue basically with the direction of Ridley Scott taking Alien, this with his ideas of God and man and creator versus createe, and bringing in all of this Roman mythology and Greek mythology. This is every bit as pretentious as Batman v Superman and as Zack Snyder's space movies. It's just pretentious. And
excellent word.
And I wouldn't have minded if he had done it in a completely own thing, if he had done a completely separate franchise, or built out the Alien franchise with the synths and elaborated more on their relationship between them and man with his own creator. Hell, bring in the engineers there. I wouldn't have minded that at all. But when he applies it to Alien, he undermines the whole Lovecraftian element, this fear of the unknown. Because now, Alien is no longer unknown. It's just the truckers' first movie. Known. They didn't know that they were going up against Weyland-Yutani creations that were created literally in the past 10 years. They didn't exist before. Like at the time of Alien Covenant in the timeline, there exists no alien queen, because David hasn't generated them yet. That moon that they went through in the first movie with the derelict ship, that hasn't happened yet, because he hasn't perfected it hasn't happened because David hasn't made it. It's all Weyland-Yutani Productions, and this just shrinks the universe, and that's my objection. But for those that enjoy the movie without thinking about that, hey, good for you. And with that,
I never ran.
I think Prometheus is pretty universally hated, though. I mean, you have a few outliers out there who, claim that they like it, but it's like, give me a break.
The idea of it was interesting to me. The original idea was interesting, but it just went off the rails.
The really sad thing about it is that's another example of Ridley Scott also not just being a bad storyteller, but he's also a bad editor. If you catch a fan edit of that movie that has restored the deleted scenes and the additional photography into it, then that movie is so much better right away. It's still not good, but it's far better. It's a complete story. Because the big problem with both Prometheus and especially Alien Covenant is that basically, I'm not going to say half the movie, but half of the story, what you need to understand before and after, isn't actually in the movie. It's in the deleted scenes, and it's in the promotional material that they put up on YouTube and gave you as homework to watch, which hardly anyone did watch. That's why the movie is so lacking, because half the movie ain't there. Like, for instance, why did they have Guy Pearce play an old man in a makeup? Well, that's because 2/3 of his role is as a young man. But that's not in the finished movie.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
And so,
thank you. No, I think that the main point we were all getting here to, and for those who liked it on the panel from what I'm hearing, is that y'all like the traditional things that worked in Alien, right? When
I love
take it back to the basics, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's also just been a hot minute since we've seen any movies that actually didn't just CGI the entire background in, or I feel like set design, sound design, atmosphere, lighting, all of that stuff. We're just not getting a lot of movies that give a shit about any of that. And it was nice to feel like the movie actually cared about that. Like they actually cared about the way that every set feels different and lived in, and they put a lot of care and work into that. That part of
I wish they put
really
that.
Nice
look, Mike, you're 100% right. This thing looks amazing. It's an amazing looking movie from every imaginable viewpoint. I wish they cared about the characters as much as they cared about the rest of that, because that's honestly what I showed up for. I wanted to get a good story, interesting characters, and have them going into the aliens' nest and, you know, going in to figure out what it is that they're going to do, how they're going to get out of this mess, you know, these young kids or whatever. I thought the way they set that up was perfect. The first half, like I said, is a perfect setup. But then after that, it just goes off the rails to me. And again, that's the problem. I think with this franchise, they don't really have anywhere interesting to go from here. You know, they really haven't done better than the first 2 films, and all the films that they've put out in the Alien franchise. Nothing's come close to the first 2. I don't honestly see why they keep making them, because I don't think they'll ever outdo them or even come close to it. It feels like the Terminator franchise in that same regards. We've gotten a ton of Terminator movies, and it's like, you guys have never outdone 1 and 2. Whatever you've given us, it's just been a lesser version of 1 and 2, and it's starting to feel like a money grab. Like, you guys just want to capitalize on the
there's
franchise
a few franchises, that have that
all
problem.
Franchises in a way are money grabs. Yeah, but no, this one specifically because they really don't do anything with it. They're just spinning their wheels.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's a lot like Star Wars, Star Trek, Terminator is another example of that. I'm sure you could throw in a few more where they refuse to go beyond a certain era of the storytelling.
Yes.
Alien and some of these others would benefit so much, while Star Trek 2 especially, if you just get the hell out of this era and go to the future. Get out of here.
That's right. So we're going to move forward. We have some super chats to read.
I have to go first, though. I just want to say, but everyone who likes this movie, who likes the visuals, the tone, I agree with you 100%. And that is why the movie annoyed me so much, because I'm incapable of enjoying it, because all roads lead to season 8, or rather, this sprung from the road of Prometheus. Wow. That's my issue with it. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andre, for always coming.
All right, Andre.
Always a pleasure to see you. Always, my friend. And we have Frank Hammett, a member for 6 months. Hell yeah. We've been streaming for 6 months. Frank's here, only 50. What the hell? Happy birthday. Am I taking it to your birthday? Thank you, Frank. Mexican Iron Man gifted 5 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Hope you picked it up. Thank Mexican Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Tender Warriors back. Was it last week and the week before? Tender Warrior. Thank you so much. He gifted 10 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. Everybody, go thank Tender Warrior. Thank Mexican Iron. These are great people. They're helping us to grow the channel, and this is how we get your voices out there. The bigger that we get, the more impact you can have on the world. Thank you for that. Yeah. And then we have Princess Fiona, my favorite, for $2. The film is stupid. Don't lower your standard. Straight to the point. I love her. And then we got Greek Light, gifted 20 Georgia Giant Slayer memberships. All right. That's a beautiful thing. Go out and thank Greek Light. And we have Razorburn for $2. Tony Scott made The Hunger with David Bowie. That's based. I love The Hunger. Excellent movie. It also had Catherine Deneuve in it. Phenomenal.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So we've covered them.
Tony Scott, better director to me.
You know, I think so. I'm agreeing with you.
I agree.
Now, here's something. I think I'm going to call this new segment the "Woke Makes You Stupid" segment, because this article came out
redundant.
Yeah, I know, but you gotta say it for the woke if you don't get it. In June, this article came out from Wired: "The Acolyte and the Long-Awaited Death of Review Bombing." Okay, this didn't age well. Not that people were review bombing it, but the Nielsen ratings came out for the finale of your favorite, The Acolyte. It was an interesting thing that we go down here and look. It was the first one to actually break through the top 10, the finale. The rest of them didn't even make it. Any surprises there?
Nope. Not even one.
A terrible show.
And they haven't even, it was. We talked about it how many times. They haven't even greenlit the thing because, Hedlund was saying, well, I'm hoping we get a season 2 because I have at least 4 seasons planned out.
Yeah, she's like, I could ruin this even more. Yeah. Just give me a chance. Put me in, coach.
Last season was bad. Oh, buddy.
Put me in, coach. I can make it even worse.
Especially with the way that she ended it with that backdrop of Yoda. I'm like, come on, you're gonna fuck him up too.
Yeah.
Well, haven't they already at this point though? I just feel like all of the characters that we love have been damaged.
They have
some degree or another.
I did. It's funny because I did like a on another stream, we did a tier list of like Star Wars characters, and there's like so much like universal love until a point. You go, yeah, but like, what about this? Because you have to consider that now, because it's canon, and that's what happened to those characters. Like, I love Luke Skywalker, but like, I love Luke Skywalker, you know, in the original trilogy, and then like the EU, not Jake Skywalker, but he is part of like canon now, and that like affects my opinion of that character.
Yeah,
and it's kind of awful, man. It sucks.
Hold on one second. I see that Olaf sent a. I see Olaf. Hold on. You sent in a super chat a little while ago that it didn't for some reason pop up. So I'm looking at it in the chat. I cannot bring it up in the stream, but I'm going to read it. Olaf for €6. Hollywood is detached from reality. They don't know how people are outside of California, etc. So we get these artificial people and all the woke crap. He puts a little emoji of a turd. Thank you, my friend. For some reason,
I've been saying that for years, man. Hollywood is so disconnected from normal people they don't know how to speak the language of the audience. They don't know how the audiences want to receive their entertainment. They don't know what audiences expect out of entertainment. And again, that's just because they live in this bubble. Like, you know, Dante, I'm pretty sure you know a few of them. It's just like they're so disconnected from reality, and they don't know, like, I have people ask me, like, well, what do you think of this? And it's like, I think this is terrible, but why? You know, and they'll ask questions and they'll try to dig in. It's like, you don't talk like a normal person. Like, you're not a real person. You're somebody pretending, I guess. And because Hollywood is the land of make-believe, it's the land of pretend. Everybody's over there is just kind of pretending to be a person, but they don't really actually dig into real people. And that's one of the biggest problems they got.
You know how stupid Hollywood is like they'll take attractive actresses, right, and make them ugly, or ugly them up instead of just hiring ugly actresses.
Instead of hiring,
no, really, no. Like back in the day, in the 70s, especially, they would just hire an unattractive woman to play an unattractive part, right? And that actress knew who she was. I mean, she knew she'd just be a character actress. But guess what? Right. She got work. She got work, and she got paid.
She's relatable. People can relate more to that.
She's the everyday woman.
Bombshell that you see on the screen. There's a little bit more
bombshells. I want those bombshells. Like, you know, when you look at it's like they came down from Mount Olympus. You're like, wow.
No, but
that's what I'm saying. Instead of hiring an unattractive actress, they'll take a gorgeous actress and make her look ugly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's disingenuous, basically.
Yeah, well, it's an ideology too, because they think, well, we're combating the male gaze. I'm like, no, like, I mean, they sold these movies on the, like, hey, this person is gorgeous. Do you want to watch this film? You're like, yes, I do. You know, like, yeah.
Well, Sindek.
No, and they'll turn around and blame us for them having a mental breakdown when you turn around and find out it's no, because they uglified the character so much that's why they're getting.
But you see that now in gaming, not only in movies. I mean, it's going everywhere. It's the same thing with the body positivity. Come on, growing up your entire life, did you ever see someone go, hey, let's put someone who's a fucking blue-haired beached whale on the cover of Sports Illustrated or in Playboy magazine?
Never.
Because you couldn't sell shit. The whole point is when you saw someone, I mean, today they attack it, but when you saw someone, again, that came down from Mount Olympus, you get motivated. You're like, well, beautiful people. That's a wonderful thing. That motivated people. You're like, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be better. I'm going to work out. I'm going to cut down on what I'm eating. It was something to inspire you. How the hell do you get inspired by Lizzo?
Dude, growing up, man, I have posters on my wall. I have posters on my wall of Schwarzenegger.
Which one?
Of Rocky. I wanted to be like those guys. I wanted to train. I wanted to work my ass off because I wanted to look just like those guys. I wanted something to aspire to, right? I didn't have fat asses on my wall.
Nobody did. You didn't want to see cheddar cheese hanging off the ceiling. But then we have over here, it's the same thing. We're going to go right into Snow White. Snow White, Rachel Zegler, classic, unibrow Oompa Loompa with a big mouth who decides all of a sudden, like, I think this is one of Disney's biggest missteps and miscasting ever. And Sindek, my brother, who edits everything for the channel and produces some of the shows, he put this beautiful piece together from the trailer.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest one of them?
The one with the unibrow. Bro, this is savage.
Oh yeah.
Just stop. The fight's over, man. She's already dead, man.
I have never seen.
That's cold-blooded.
Yeah, he knows how to bring the comedy with facts.
That's wild, man.
I took a look at the trailer, right? It's got 7 million views. 7 million. 10-1 downvotes. I mean, they pretty much got 70,000 people somehow found the energy to upvote it. And you're like, now we know how many fucking furries there are in the world. Because there is no way. You're talking about Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, one of the hottest, most beautiful women on the planet. Israel, and then you got the Oompa Loompa over there.
Well, my favorite comment in all of them that was underneath was the same exact thing I was thinking, is like when she goes, you know, magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? The answer is you. Movie's over.
Yeah.
Yes.
The end.
The end. No, dude, honestly, here's the thing though. Rachel Zegler, look, she's not unattractive, right? She's smashing.
No,
her attitude makes it worse.
She's what I call no beers, right?
It was said the other night though, she's a California 3 if she's a New York 9 at
No,
best.
no, come on. She's a California
Come
6.
on.
I'll give her
6.
that.
Okay, I'll give her that, but like she can't even
She's a
sing
6.
that great either, and that's
She's what I call no beers, right? I would need no beers to smash.
True.
Like
Maybe
she's
4 feet tall, you can put your beer.
as
on
long as
top
she
of her
doesn't say nothing stupid.
As long as she kept her mouth closed, she is smashable. Hey, look, but come on, compared to Gal Gadot, really?
Yeah, you can't suspend disbelief. It's not. That's why I don't know what Disney was thinking. How are they going to sell the fairest of them all? Seriously, I've never seen so many people in the comments for the YouTube trailer voting for the apple. They're like,
you basically have like a Disney princess. You know,
do you know how many? Do you know how many female bartenders in LA are LA 9s?
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
So what do you think is the mindset then? I mean, like, who the hell is sitting there at Disney, at Mouse House Central going, that's it. Rachel Zegler beats Gal Gadot. Like,
well, they've already said that the fairest in this case is going to mean the most just. Yeah. All right. Yep. They've already come out and said that. So they're rewriting what the movie or what the original story is. It's
because they have to.
They have to, yeah. But
they
don't want this to be based on looks. I mean, think about this. This is feminism 101. You don't want anything to be based on looks, okay? So it's not about who looks the best or whatever. They got to get that crap out of there. They got to start talking, it's about Justy, who can lead justly, who can be the fairest, adjudicator of justice in the galaxy.
They're doing a lot of literal stuff in this movie. You're right. Like even whistle while you work literally means you, the dwarves, not her.
Yeah, dwarves get to whistling. I laughed at that.
Get to work.
That was happening.
Get to work, tiny people. Come on now. Yeah.
Think about this, man. They come home from a long day at the mine. You've been working your ass off all day long at the mine. Getting them diamonds right, and then as soon as you open the door, bam, a broom hits you in the chest. Like, hey, I need you to clean up in here, man. It's a little dirty. Yeah. I've been living in a dirty house all
even
day.
though I've been squatting in your house.
I'm squatting in your house. You're protecting me. Yeah.
It reminds me of the Chris Rock skit when he's like, women, leave us alone when we get home. We just want to have some time to ourselves. You get in the door and you're just going at us. You forgot to take out the garbage. You forgot to do this. Like, let me take a shit. Let me have a few minutes to myself. Jesus Christ.
So good, bro.
So that's what we're getting, man. We're getting Snow White the slave driver, man.
And by the way, fuck Peter Dinklage for putting little people out of work, man.
No shit.
That little bastard.
That's, you know what, though? If you think about it, right? What was he really doing? He used this kind of like sensitivity fascism where he's like, hey, what is Hollywood doing? They're trying to use fucking midgets. That's wrong. And what he's really doing is behind the scenes is he's sticking his finger up at every other dwarf going, motherfuckers, I own this territory.
Yeah, I'm the midget. I'm the guy.
He climbed the step ladder and kicked it out from underneath him.
Yeah. Took that music seat and ran with it, bro. He was
step
gone.
ladder.
Well, he is. He's a turd.
He caught that. Somebody caught it.
Yeah. Think about that, man. I've said this on other shows. Those seven roles. If you put those out there, and these guys would have been able to play these roles, they'd have been able to go to cons, conventions. You know, hey man, I played Happy. People could have walked up to, oh, you're the guy that played Happy. You're the guy that played Grumpy, Dopey, whatever. Exactly. And they would have been able to eat off of that for the rest of their lives. They would have been able to go to conventions, even if they don't get a lot more acting work. They would have forever been known as the one dwarf or whatever that played, you know, Doc, or whatever role that they played. Well, and that would have been something that they could have lived off of and maybe gotten more roles. But even if they didn't, they could have always had that, and they could have made some money off of that and had a decent life.
They could have paid the rent, at least.
Got to give it to the CGI AI cats, right?
And I'm not even still convinced they were ever going to hire dwarves or considered it, because they do have a dwarf in the cast as one of the dirty hippies. Because we forgot that, so they actually had one. But like I've heard more of a ripple effect in what basically Dinklage did throughout the industry. Because like another example is that more recent Taika Waititi show, the remake of Time Bandits. We covered a story a couple weeks back where a member of our panel actually kind of knew one of the individuals that was going up for the show, and they said they were, you know, back and forth. There was a lot of stuff going on, and then all of a sudden, dead silence. And they reached out to him to find out what was going on. They're like, yeah, we're going in a different direction. And this, of course, was post Peter Dinklage making his big, grand, you know, like basically fire every little person but me in Hollywood fucking speech. And that's exactly what it did. Because you even had Postel, the guy who, the wrestler, come out on that one, whatever show it was. I think it was Pierce Morgan, and talk about that too. Is like, he doesn't speak for all little people, right? And what he said on that show is things that I've heard, because I actually know a few little people, and what they all say is the same thing, is like, it is harder than hell to get a job, literally, period, just in general. Like, they don't make McDonald's for them to work at, right? Like, you're right. You can't get a job at a factory. You can't get a job in most areas. There's very few jobs that you can take if you're of that stature. But what you can do is get into entertainment. You know, there used to be a lot more circuses. There used to be a lot, you know, every Christmas is a big time of the year because they get to play elf, especially if they're actors, right? Like, this is another thing that was pointed out to me. Like, if they get in a commercial for Christmas time, that can pay their bills for like the rest of the year sometimes, especially if it's ran 100 times during the holidays.
Like a national
they get residuals. Yeah, exactly. They get residuals for that. Right. And like you guys said, if these actors were playing the 7 dwarves in live action, you're 100% right. They could go to cons for the rest of their lives and charge people $25 a pop for pictures.
Autographs, everything. Exactly.
No, but Dinklage wants to be the guy, right? He wants to be the go-to dwarf, right? So he just screwed everybody else.
He's a great actor. I'm going to say he's a great actor, but he's a shitty human being. Because also, you made a good point, all of y'all, about the going to the cons. Those guys would have had cheddar for the rest of their life. But what if one of them would have shined, stood out? They'd have been like, hey, we got another Dinklage. Because you know Hollywood. We talked about it. They could have been like, hey, we don't have to negotiate.
You know what's sad is in the 80s, we had more prominent little actors I can name right now off the tip of my tongue than I can right now.
Warwick Davis.
Warwick Davis, you had Billy Barty, you had, you know, pretty much all the cast of the Willow, right?
Well,
like, yeah.
Look at what Wee Man said. We have a video of Wee Man, and he talked about it.
Showing that the Snow White movie replaced the 7 dwarves with 7 average people instead. Do you think Disney made the right choice doing this?
Oh, wow. I didn't think this was going to be the question today. It's funny you should ask this, because a buddy of mine, were talking about this the other day, and it's perfect timing for this because of all the AI and all that like SAG and the Writers Guild are going through. It's a bad thing. I'm not agreeing with it. One, because what they're doing is pretty much you're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs, you know? And what we were discussing too the other day was the Wonka movie. And Hugh Grant is now playing
that was horrible.
That was another one.
So I guess Hugh Grant, you're now identifying as a little person.
Yeah.
Call him out, man. Call him out.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. That's why Dinklage, to me, he did a disservice. And what did Disney prove? One more time. that they care so much about the dwarf community, they didn't fire a fucking one. They didn't hire one of them.
Yeah, imagine that. You go, man, I feel so bad for these guys. I want you to never work again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's
all
basically what they did.
And that's why. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, it'd be like, oh, I don't want to take advantage of like Native American people, so I'll never hire one in a movie. I'll just have like a bunch of white people play them instead.
Oh,
you know, like,
like it was in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, like,
crazy.
that's the thing. It's like the opportunity is there to give people work and be like, yo, we will give you an opportunity to grow above your station, because that's what happened with Peter Dinklage. That's why, I mean, dude, Warwick Davis is one of the most popular like little people ever.
And they screwed him with Willow.
And they completely screwed him over in Willow and stuff, but he's arguably more popular than Peter Dinklage is.
I would agree
like,
with that.
Right.
You know, it's like, could you, I mean, it's such a shitty thing, and it's all, you know, in the guise of, well, we're just doing them a favor. We're trying to be kind to them. And I'm like, if somebody's applying for a job as like an actor, you're going to look at them in the face and go, nah, man, it's offensive for you to play this character.
Of course not.
I don't give a I don't give a fuck. Like, yeah, so if somebody brought up Deep Roy, like imagine that Deep Roy goes to try out for one of the Oompa Loompas, and they go, sorry, man, we don't want you to play an Oompa Loompa because it's offensive to you. He's like,
are you offended? We don't want to offend you, so we can't hire you. You can't make any money to pay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and these actors weren't
too bad. You're too small.
And these actors weren't always somebody necessarily in a role that was like in camera either. Sometimes there were creature effects or whatever. Like you had like Debbie Lee Carrington, who did like the Chucky stand-ins and stuff like that, and you had, can't remember the guy's name, but he did Howard the Duck and also stood in for Chucky as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm trying to think of his name. But yeah, there was a lot of and you had, you know, like Jack Purvis and a lot of these other guys that, you know, like Peter Dinklage is the only one now you can think about.
What
There's
about
even
the
that other guy
Munchkins?
from that magic show too, and I can't remember the name of it. It was like something Rappaport or something like that. But anyway, sorry.
What about the Munchkins? I mean, I saw them at conventions. I saw them at conventions.
They're still eating off that plate. Like,
of course, and that
you were left.
No, but except again, while we wrap this up, it shows you how the selfish attitude. And I mean, look, we started with Beau DeMayo gets fired, black gay guy, Disney. We don't know everything that's going on, but then you turn around and they won't hire dwarfs because Dinklage throws a little hissy fit on his step stool, and then we have Rachel Zegler. Now, Dante Verbal was talking about the fact that, you know, she's what you said about an LA6, LA7,
LA6, LA5. She smashed.
Okay. I think it's her attitude turns her into a zero, especially when you
That's
have
my
here.
issue with her. Yeah.
Sindek had this great video, this great clip that we use. I got to find it while you watch this, where she's talking about how, you know, we're not going to have this whole thing where the prince is stalking her. And he put it together with a cut scene from Snow White. And when you see them together, you're like, you really understand this woman is whacked.
Yeah.
Hold on. Where did I put it? There we go.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
Well, 2025.
Which is the whole point of Snow White. It's a love story.
Correct. But there's also many more metaphors. It's the same way that when that clip had come out the other day that hit YouTube, in the original, she is showing with her magical animals, she's showing appreciation to the dwarves for giving her food and shelter and cleaning up. Here, it's like an entitled twat. Hey, you bitches, get to work and clean. It's like, whoa. Yeah. The original
metaphor, man, get to work, clean this house. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm squatting here for free.
Yeah, look at me. I'm a beauty. You gotta pay for this.
Yeah. Well, and that just shows you the mentality of the people making the movie, right? They see it as, oh, well, we can't be having her doing, you know, labor
work?
in the kitchen and housework and stuff. That's too misogynist. Instead, they put everybody else to work without seeing the idea.
Didn't see the last I didn't see the Little Mermaid. Was it the same? Wasn't it the same thing with the Halle Bailey Little Mermaid?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. So it's like they're rewriting all of these. they're rewriting all of these princesses to be bold, strong, feminist women, and it's just
and you know what?
You know?
It kind of bleeds into like a bigger subject, right? Because me and Gore were talking about this. We talk about this a lot. The fact that Hollywood is trying to strip away like romance from movies, right? They're trying to strip away the love between a man and a woman, right? Because now the only time you're going to see a love story is if they're gay. Right, or queer of some kind, right? That's the only time you're going to see emotion with people, right? It's like I remember I was watching the Nooner the other day, and Gary and Chris were talking about how instead of people kissing on screen now, they do that stupid head nod where they just touch foreheads, right?
What the hell is that?
No, really, it's the lack of intimacy. It's the lack of between a man and a woman, right? Like you won't see a man and a woman just grab each other and kiss each other passionately, right? It's the head nod. It's the
well, if you watch movies, this is actually a thing. I've been talking about this for a while now. There's like a massive, like if you go think about it, there are not a lot of nude scenes in films anymore. There's not a lot of nude scenes on television anymore, unless it's a naked man and they're showing his flaccid penis.
Yes,
because
they constantly.
Because they think it's a form of humiliation to say, hey, you objectified women for all these years and stuff, and you treated women like this and looked at her body and treated her like that. So now we're going to show you at like your most impotent, and we're going to show off your dicks to everybody because it's funny, because it's humiliating and stuff like that. It's also, if you watch watch any movie, television show, they do it in the House of the Dragon, they do it all over. Typically when you watch like any kind of sex scene in a movie, the woman's always on top because you can't have a woman being under a man. You can't have her in any kind of submissive situation to a man and stuff. It's all of this thing, and these intimacy coordinators step into these projects, and it's funny because Deadpool made a joke about it. He's like, "Where's the intimacy coordinator?" Like, because they're in there going, "Hey, you know, Hollywood has always had these people to say, hey, this is cool, or make sure that everybody's comfortable, make sure that everybody feels safe on set. That is important." If you have to do a scene where somebody has to be naked on set, they should be comfortable. They should not be feeling that they're being.
But they always left that to the discretion of the actors and actors involved in that scene.
That's exactly it.
There you go. What you're getting at too is, I think that at least the point you're getting to basically is that a lot of those scenes, women enjoyed seeing those kind of romantic scenes too, the way they were used to be portrayed. Like, look at any friggin' romance novel, right?
Yep.
Like that there tells you what, and this also goes with the gay community too. They don't even want to see all this gay sex stuff either necessarily. We actually were talking about a report that came out that Zoomers and millennials are very confused, and they want to see less sex in movies and more relationships and more friend relationships, because they've gotten to this point where and this is a problem beyond just entertainment. Like, this is encroaching on their lives. Like, they don't know how to have a regular relationship and a regular friendship anymore. There is too much of a line that has been blurred, and you're seeing a lot of that in films too, where it's this kind of, you know, obscureness to it. And when they do have, like, even when, like, you guys, we've been joking about this gay relationship, they will show it, but even when they do, it's so superficial and it's so weird that we even started making jokes, for instance, like Star Trek Discovery, how they would segregate the gays.
Yep.
Because you would literally have all these scenes all the time where it was just the two gay guys and then the rest of the ship doing their other stuff. And then you constantly cut back to the gay guy's relationship. Like, that was the main focal point of that for some reason. And it's like, all you're doing is segregating them from the rest of the story now.
Yeah, they don't function. They don't function in any. They did it with The Boys just recently too. You have Frenchie,
and that's what turned me off from The Boys, man. Like, that season, I'm done.
He's the only competent character in the whole show, and then they like regulate him to, as soon as he's like sad and depressed, they're like, yo, here's this dude, and all they do with that storyline is every time they're around each other, they're like trying to bang each other. They have no other storyline, no development of anything, and then like they throw that shit they throw it in the trash, and then basically be like, sorry, we spent this whole season doing this, because actually he ends up with the character that he was already with at the beginning of the season. Like, it's wild shit.
I'm glad I tapped out of The Boys, man.
Well, and something that bothers me about this whole thing too, and this goes back to one of the earlier conversations we were having too, about, you know, like, a lot of these writers have we get all these crappy writers that shouldn't be working on any of these shows because they just use it as an opportunity to, you know, move on further in their career. Because the last thing that you want to say when you go in to apply for any of these jobs is, I'm a fan of Star Wars. I'm a fan of Star Trek. I've heard this from so many people now because they don't want to deal with the baggage. And going off the Zegler thing is, I'm convinced now that she never was a Snow White fan. And I don't know if you saw this last night, George, if you were still watching, but if you want to share this quick in the background, I'm only going to play like a minute or so of this. But we discovered this last night on her YouTube channel, and I never saw this before. And basically, you get the impression that she never wanted to play Snow White. She wanted to play the Little Mermaid, and she's pissed about it.
She is because I've covered it for a year that she hates Snow White. But play this.
Well, this almost confirms it, basically, and you'll see what I mean.
It's been a while. What's up? My name is Rachel Zegler. Welcome back to my...
Whoops. No, of course it's going to act up.
It's okay. I'm an actor.
There we
if you're
go.
Here, if you're not, I'm anyone you want me to be. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid, but I'm Snow White and not Princess Jasmine. I don't know why I'm doing this. I was having a conversation with my boyfriend the other day, and he was like, don't you miss editing videos? And I was like, kinda. So this is a trial run. I miss editing them. I don't miss posting them. The internet is not my biggest fan. It never has been, but it especially isn't these days. I made some stupid choices, but I don't think anything to warrant the amount of negativity that I see on the daily. So this is just me showing you that I'm alive. I'm going on a trip this weekend to Marrakesh and Morocco for the Jubilee. I thought maybe I could document it. This might be a terrible idea. It might go really wrong.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically the impression I get.
Right, okay.
Say hi. So, hi.
Yeah, she's full of shitter.
And this is while she's getting ready to film Snow White and stuff like that. You can tell she's really not happy that this is the part.
Yeah, she says she wanted to play Jasmine, huh?
Jasmine, and she was also singing. In another part, she sings like a song from Little Mermaid and stuff like that. So I think she either wanted to be Little Mermaid or Jasmine. Yeah, she did not want to be Snow White.
The problem is I'm glad you played that. I didn't use that. I used an interview that she did over in London where she said Jasmine is always a dream role. But this, you nailed it here, Tom. Here's the problem. It used to be in the old days, I'm talking about 20 years ago, that if you had, when you first started out as an actor and you had one or two bombs right when you got out of the gate, you were done.
You were done.
She's had
you were
4.
finished.
So what the hell is the difference? She's had 4. You have the Shazam,
West Side Story.
That was Spielberg. Isn't that one of his biggest bombs today?
That's her first thing. And that's the thing. It's a Spielberg thing too. I've noticed. It's like, what is it with these actors and talents that for some reason got their start with Spielberg? J.J. Abrams being another example I can think of.
Wasn't she in the Shazam movie too?
She was, but that was after. Was it the first? Was she in the first one?
No, the second one. I mean,
I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure West Side Story was her first movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the second
sequel. And then it went to
Hunger Games, the Battle of the Bad Writing and Boredom.
Yeah, another movie I didn't see, but
which is the closest thing she's had to a hit at this point. Yeah,
because they almost broke even.
And then all of this has done nothing to help her whatsoever, man. All of this negativity that she's put out there with Snow White, I mean, just trashing one of the greatest, like in American culture, one of the greatest films of all time. You know, the one that got Disney started. Just for her to come out and trash that the way that she's been trashing it. She could have played any other part or any other princess. And she might have been able to get away with it. She is not going to get away with trashing Snow White. And then for her to double down with this latest little Free Palestine stunt, all of this stuff is just coming back and blowing up in their faces. And this is what I love about it, because you hired this little chick. She's an activist. She wants to get out there on social media and talk all the day long. Okay, they're going to eventually say something, Disney, that you don't rock with, that is not going to be in alignment with what you guys believe over there at Disney. Now she has. I am interested to see what they do to try to spin their way out of this, because I think this Free Palestine stunt and everything that came out just last week, that's going to be the death nail of this entire film. I think this thing is going down in flames.
I mean, even if you contrast her with somebody like Gina Ortega, right?
Right.
Just their career path and just and the way they handle themselves. Gina Ortega, who I think is even younger than Rachel Zegler, the way she handles herself in the media is brilliant. Right? Like, she never says anything too out of line or too stupid. She never stops you from seeing one of her projects.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
that's
early
my point.
on,
Like,
she did
Rachel
make some
Zegler
mistakes.
is an activist.
But it's rare that she does that.
But that's the thing. Rachel Zegler is an activist. She gets out. She's been on social media doing this crap all the time. And she's gotten job after job after job. They keep hiring her. And I'm like, why would you hire somebody that it has the potential of saying something stupid? Gina Ortega is never going to do that. You know, I think she came out recently and made some comments, but those have pretty much flown under the radar.
But then Gina Ortega even said, though, you know, people should be able to say what they want to say.
Right.
Cool,
right.
they say, but people react to it. They're like, cool, I don't want to put my money. She can say whatever she wants to say. I don't want to censor her. But let me tell you, this is a person not only who's an activist, but she has a bad, spoiled, entitled attitude.
Oh, absolutely.
Hunger Games, for example, she did an interview. Well, not an interview. She interviewed herself for her YouTube channel, right? Before Hunger Games came out. She said she just finished wrapping Shazam. And she turned around and she was asked, would you, we want to look at you for Hunger Games. She said no. The director was like, I want you for Hunger Games. I just want you to come in, see the chemistry. She said no, because she had another film lined up. Well, after West Side Story bombed, that film falls through. What does she do? Hunger Games casts the lead. They cast the lead. She turns around, calls the studio, calls the director, says, I'd like to have it now. Gets the girl fired, then gets the lead. To me, that's like, you're a piece of shit. You dumped it because you thought you're moving on to greener pastures. And then you're like, oh, I love Hunger Games. Yeah, I can't stand her. I'm going to catch up real quick on some super chats, and then we will wrap up with the last piece. Oh, by the way, I found it. I found the clip on the video that I was playing, just so everybody can get an example. When she's talking about how the prince is stalking Snow White, here it is. I just had
the other one.
It came out in 1937. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
One song, I have but one song.
That's his stalking her. Serenading. That's his stalking.
And then she sings about wanting to get back with him for like the next 20 minutes, kids. Just like I
mean, it's that's why I think actors either should do their research or shut their mouth.
Like they forgot the theme that literally goes with the Walt Disney logo at the beginning of every movie. Someday Prince will come.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest. Is that even going to be in this movie? It's one of the biggest songs Disney has ever put out there. Is she going to be singing about romance? I doubt it.
Well, Alan Ing made a good point when he said they reshot the hell out of this movie, so they might have thrown that song back in there.
Throw it back in, huh?
Yeah, if they're trying to win back the audience, they might have. Yeah, but imagine like the twist in this movie. She eats the apple. They put her in that glass box, and the prince walks by. He goes, "I'm sorry, I can't get consent."
Well, and one of the weird things about the thing is a lot of people are convinced that the reshoots had to do with the dwarves, and I'm like, well, that's not what I kept hearing coming out. The reshoots, from what I kept hearing, were from they tested an early cut, and she tested so poorly, like people disliked her so much that they went back and shot a bunch of scenes with a younger actress playing Snow White as a child, so that they could try and get the audience to be more on her side.
Oh, empathize.
So, and empathize, like, because that's the thing is like that's what it sounded like to me was the bigger problem. That's where I'm not so convinced that they weren't ever. I think. I'm still standing by that. I think from the very start, Disney was going to make the dwarves CGI because that's what makes Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Disney's, right? That's what differentiates them from anybody else, because it's public domain. Anybody can make a Snow White.
Why not just animate them the way they did the original and remind
That's kind of what they're doing in a way, but they're doing it through CGI, and that's what I've been saying from the start. Is I think they always were planning on doing them CGI. Now. They may have always, maybe they were initially planning on having stand-ins that were dwarves to play those, and they decided not to after Peter Dinklage. That I don't know. But my point is because the thing that makes them Disney Snow White is the dwarves. It's Sleepy, Doc, Bashful, Dopey. Those characters are what copyrighted by Disney, right? That nobody else can make the Seven Dwarves those characters. They have to come up with their own version.
Because even the Brothers Grimm version isn't the same.
Yeah.
No,
and that's where I was never convinced they were never going to have the dwarves in this movie, because there was a lot of people who are like, oh, they're not going to have the dwarves, they're going to have just these seven hippies. I'm like, no, those are probably just separate characters that are attached to the prince, who's actually not going to be a prince anymore. He's supposed to be a bandit or whatever.
Yeah, it's some weird shit. The thing is I'd like to know how the Daily Wire is reportedly, because the Daily Wire has scheduled their Snow White, which is supposed to follow the Brothers Grimm's book, right? They had scheduled it originally to come out in 2024 to be in the same month to debut as Disney's Snow White. Now they're talking if they're going to release it when Disney releases theirs. How do you think those two will go head to head, even though you're talking about independent film?
I don't
with Brett Cooper.
I don't think they will at all.
Yeah, you look. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, there's two camps here. Like, I'm not trying to dog on the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
But like, there's an attitude of like, I want to make a movie because movies are important to me and I'm passionate about making movies. And then there's, I'm going to make a reactionary thing that is in response to another thing. And I'll tell you right now, the latter is where you'll get piss poor quality. And I'm not just trying to take shots, but reactionary movies typically are never any good. Like, they're just not. Like, you have to actually have some more substance to it than that. And if you're going, well, we're going to just tell the story, the story of the original Snow White, well, like, the reality is a lot of Grimm's fairy tales like do not end well.
No, they're
there are
dark.
lessons in there, but they're very dark, and they're not. And like, if Daily Wire was like, yo, this is what we're doing a grim dark fairy tale, but we're doing it like, we want to just tell a really good fairy tale story, I'd be all for it. But like saying, yeah, we're gonna wait and stuff. The problem is like, there's a lot of mainstream people no idea what the Daily Wire is. Never heard of it before. And they're not doing a theatrical release. They're doing it on their website. So like, they're going to release it and you'll get people that are fans of the Daily Wire, maybe a couple people that are curious enough to buy like a month subscription to watch the film. And maybe it's good. I don't know. Maybe it will be good. I don't know. We already know Disney's not, this movie's not going to be good from Disney, but people are going to go see it in the beginning. They're going to probably eke out, maybe $400,000 or something at the box office, and then it's going to go quietly into the night, and everything. But like,
it'll go to Disney Plus in a month.
Yeah, but like,
end of Zegler's career.
Yeah, well, you'd think so, but that's the thing too. A lot of what's happening in Hollywood now is not about how good your movies are. If you're a box office draw, it's about who you know. There's very
even
few
after
actors.
5 flops. That's $1 billion. This guy.
Well, go look at Jai Courtney. Go check out his track record with movies. That man has tanked more franchises than just about anybody I know. And then he has one good film. That was all it took. They're like, yo, he did a good job as Captain Boomerang. He's back in the good graces of Hollywood whenever he needed. Like, he's going to keep getting work. Look how long it took for him to get rid of Ezra Miller. Like, look how this guy was going out hitting people with chairs. He was
breaking into their
homes.
homes.
Bro, I wish I could go on that kind of a streak and not get arrested for anything.
Yeah, I've never
and still have a career.
This is the weird thing about Hollywood.
Yeah.
But he has disappeared. You don't see him anymore.
No, but I will tell you this right now. It is because his PR firm said, yo, you need to lay low. You need to be quiet. You need to chill for a little bit. I'm telling you I guarantee these studios and stuff are offering to get him medicated, get him into these rehab units.
He was already medicated. That's the problem.
Yeah. And by the way, George, Disney doesn't care about losing money.
No.
Like I mean, it's evident. Like they will.
What about being
humiliated? They'll lose $1 billion and not blink.
What about being humiliated? That's got to count with egos.
They're more humiliated right now by at least in their opinion, their past, and that's why they're doing all this shit.
Right?
Like they're trying to erase the Walt from Walt Disney. They're trying to, and that's basically, this is what every meeting is like before they do one of these movies or when they talk about doing these movies. Snow White's a classic, but it's problematic because of this, and this. Check. And so what do they do with these remakes? They go in and they make sure that they fix those things. So then going forward, this is almost like they're doing the Star Wars special editions like George Lucas. That's basically what these new versions of these movies are. Because I almost hate calling them live action because 90% of them isn't still live action. They're still animated.
It's going to be CGI, man. The
yeah,
animals,
exactly.
The dwarves, everything.
Look at Lion King as a prime example. It wasn't like Jon Favreau was sitting there with a real lion go, hey, act. Trying to bait it with a stake or something like that. No, it was just Fugazi. It was fucking animation.
I like what Gary from Neurotic said. He said, "Yeah, like the animated or the CGI deer at the end of the trailer." He's like, there's real petting zoos where you could train a deer just to go up to a person, right? Like they could have actually used a real deer.
They could have.
Right.
But they just don't have that imagination anymore. Okay,
somebody made the joke that at least now they'll have the asset for when they do Bambi.
Yeah. We got 8. I'm gonna read them real quick. We have Darth Maul's lower half member for 5 months. Keep in mind, she and her followers attacked Gina. You're absolutely right.
They did. Yeah.
Zegler went off on Gina, and then she got her entire little Zegler cult. Which, by the way, one of the most laughable things. This was 2023. This year, she won. Or Disney bought it for the People's Choice Award for 2023's Best Action Star, beating Denzel Washington in Equalizer 3 and Keanu Reeves in John Wick 4.
That's crazy. That's insane.
Well,
I know. That's all I gotta say. Have you watched the video?
Jenna Ortega, like, she came back around on some of that stuff. She has learned, but that was after, you know, her co-star on Scream got canceled for her opinions as well. So, like, yeah, that's.
But you know what though? I put Sydney Sweeney in that same category, man. I just think they make smart choices, and because of that, they're rewarded.
I love Sydney Sweeney.
Also,
Beautiful
Sydney
person.
Sweeney is just straight up leaning into the fact that she's a bombshell. She
That's
doesn't care.
smart.
She's like, I'm not going to stop doing nude scenes. Like, people like looking at me naked. Good for
Well, we
them.
miss
Like,
God bless her.
We need a Marilyn Monroe right now, right? Like,
Hell
we need
yeah.
somebody like that who's not
There we
afraid.
go.
Protect that woman at all costs.
It completely
Norwegian.
destroys the narrative that women don't like to be treated like that. It's like, no, they like
No.
some women don't. And guess what? You know what? If you don't want to do nude scenes, you shouldn't be made to. There's a balance to all of this that people forget, because there are movies where people got pressured into things, and there are movies where women got objectified and treated horribly behind the scenes, just like men did. But there are also just as many where people are like, nope, this is totally consensual. I was happy to do it. I was, you know, I like showing off my body. I worked hard
She
to look
says
like
she loves
this.
her boobs. She says, I love my boobs. I love showing my boobs. I'm like, keep showing them.
Well,
you know, protect that woman at all costs.
You know,
Protect
and guess
her.
what?
What Epic is saying is basically what you hear from every like model that did Playboy half the time when they try to get him on a get you. It's like, well, don't you feel like you were objectified and blah blah blah? They're like, no, I got paid. In fact, I got a career
That's why I
because of
did
it,
it.
and I wish I still looked that good. I mean, those are usually the responses. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, at the end of no, you're good, man. At the end of the day, like working on a movie set and stuff, and doing movies, you have a script. You tell people what they're getting into before they get into it. You say, hey man, this movie's gonna have nudity. Hey man, this movie's gonna have a topless scene, or hey man, this movie's gonna require this or require that. And if an actor signs on and says they're okay with it, you know, and they get on set and they're willing to work for it, then you let them do it. But like this new idea is like, well, at any moment they could just decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, you know, obviously that needs to be taken into account. You want your actors to feel safe and stuff. But if like imagine, like, we'll go back to Keanu Reeves. Imagine Keanu Reeves signs up for John Wick and then he goes, I don't feel like doing the jujitsu anymore. I don't want to put in the gun work. I don't want to learn any of this stuff.
The movie would suck.
Yeah, the
When
movie
I
was
did the
such,
Matrix, I actually didn't download jujitsu.
yeah, but they're like, you know what? We're just gonna hire somebody else then that'll actually put in the work. You know.
But again, back in the day, they didn't have the. I mean, they had people on set, but for the most part, the actors worked out those love scenes between themselves, right?
Yes.
Sure. You had the bad stuff that went on some sets, right? And they got called out, but for the most part, two actors, two grown ass adults, would work out a scene together.
Because you said it, they were grown ass adults.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all a question regarding this, and I'm just curious because I've never really thought about this until now. But did Me Too have any effect on how romance and how sex and how all of this stuff is portrayed in film? I have to imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
And there has to be some sort of
Absolutely.
so maybe there's some pullbback, you know, because of everything that happened. I'm not sure. I'm throwing it out
two
there.
things. There needs to be accountability for anything. Just like with safety, like the thing that happened with Rust, that happens on movie sets. I know other people that I've worked with on sets that say, hey, yeah, I've watched people lose limbs. I've watched people get hurt on sets because they didn't care about safety. It is no different. All of it needs to be taken into account. And so somebody's acting a fool, not being held accountable. There should be nobody in the business that is not being held accountable for putting people's safety on the line, physical, mental, emotional safety on the line, and doing hinky, gross shit behind the scenes. You should be called out for it. That's just how it works. But on the other side of it, then what it also did was it empowered people that knew that this could be an advantage for them to step in and become an intimacy coordinator and say, now I can always push the ideologies I've always wanted to push. It made people act crazy and take advantage. Same thing with like DEI stuff. They're like, oh man, this is my time to step in and consult on what it should be like for black people in film. They're like, we've never had a problem with that. Like black people that need help getting into movies, black people that need to be helped being portrayed in film. Like Mexicans don't need help. They already were doing what they were doing. And if you're an actor and you go, you know what, that's a real offensive stereotype, I'm not going to be characterized. You don't have to. Nobody's making you do it. If nobody
made you sign up for this,
nobody made you sign up for that.
That
stuff.
goes back to my point earlier too. Is like I was saying, is there's always, if you don't want to do it, fine. There's somebody waiting outside the door who will, right?
Always.
Because that's the thing about being a movie star or whatever star you want to say is there's always somebody who's willing to go to that extreme, no matter what it is, for that sick individual. I hate saying it, That like it's like, look, if you don't want to, fine, I'll move on to the next one. And that's why I have an issue believing sometimes some of the shit that comes out with a lot of these people is because, like, yeah, you know, I hate to have to sit there and go and say this, but I'm kind of surprised Weinstein got in as much trouble as he did at the end of the day, right? Because there was a lot of pay for play, and you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back.
I'm telling you right now,
on.
man, and this is from a guy who's met Weinstein a few times and had a drink with him. He had a line of women waiting to talk to him.
Yeah,
they knew damn well what they were getting into.
But yeah, and I'm not trying to make excuses for any of that shit. But no, I think the fundamental issue is at the bottom of the line is, yeah, all the points you guys are making 100% correct. The Me Too movement was hijacked by the woke movement, which was hijacked by these people who saw it as an opportunity to come in and insert their DEI bullshit and their woke ideology onto the film industry. It's another way of doing it. At the same time, it's like actors had forgotten that they were basically being objectified from the start, whether you're fucking naked or not. That's the whole point. You're on screen because people want to see you.
That's a good point, man.
And
what do you want to do? Like, what the hell? Like, I've never understood this. Like, I get it.
On screen. Yeah.
And to piggyback what you're saying, Tom, I mean, there's a saying out here, you know, somebody always has to pay rent. So yeah, you're right. If someone doesn't take the job, someone else will because they got bills to pay.
Yep. Yeah, but that's the thing. In a world where your ideology, which is a lot of these ideologies are akin to religions now, you cannot abide by anybody doing something that you don't agree with. So it's not, you know, like Peter Dinklage is a great example. It's not, you know what, people that are midgets should be treated fairly and they shouldn't be treated like they're less than, and they should be getting paid a fair wage. Those are all statements that are completely fair to say.
And they all get stools, damn it.
And yeah, they all need to get stools so they can reach the sinks because they're small, and you know, but like at the same time, then going, but you know, you're objectifying them. Stop hiring these people. Stop casting them in roles where they play midgets and small people. That's not fair to them. You go like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
It's like they didn't stop to think that a lot of these dumb bimbos, they can't do anything else.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta catch up on these super chats.
You want to trust these chicks with your food?
Hold on.
Wow.
They can't even dress themselves. I mean,
good. That's what they put on Earth for. That's what they do best.
We're still
like, my name is Buffy. B-U. Buffy.
Jesus.
Come on, the casting couch is real. We all know that. How many women would go? The ones who are pissed are the ones who didn't. He basically reneged on.
And we can all admit as human beings, as men, that it's not right. The casting couch isn't right. We all know this.
Yes.
But it goes both ways. We've heard plenty of other stories.
Beginning of Hollywood. Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield. Oh, come on. It's been
and it's
around.
not just in Hollywood. Women sleep their way to the top in corporate America too.
More so. Probably more so.
You calling Kamala Harris, High Heel Harris, and Sam Francisco?
Oh, she's a prime example.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to get to these real quick. We have Red French Moon for €2. R.I.P. Alain Delon. What a great actor and producer. I didn't know he passed away. Thank you for that, Red French Moon. We also have Red French Moon for another €2. Not looking forward to Snow White, but Gal Gadot is wow. Wow is right. Former Miss Israel. Wonder Woman.
She is.
Gotta love her. You know how that must have been hell working on set with her, with having Zegler going, you know, like Free Palestine's like, and Godot's.
You know what though? I wonder how many scenes they have together in that film.
Bet you not many.
Probably not many.
Yeah, because Godot.
Yeah, because they really only meet at the beginning, right? Where I think it's only at the beginning in the animated movie where they actually talking, and that's it.
Yeah, but I don't know how
this there and she's there. Yeah,
but I doubt they're going to get Gal Gadot to be.
Most of their interaction is when she becomes the evil witch, and will Gal be playing that version?
Who knows? But you know, with Gadot, and the money that she can demand, that it's not going to be a cameo, almost like in the anime, where it's like,
sure, yeah,
it's going to be more than that. It's got to be beefier. Yeah. Princess Fiona for $2. Why would an evil queen care who is more just? See. Again, that's why I love you, Prince Fiona. That's common sense. Hollywood doesn't have that. That's why I said woke makes you stupid segment, which is why we covered it. Thank you.
Wasn't that the whole thing? Is she has her cast out so she can't take like?
I know it's dumb. That's why people are rooting for the apple. True Detective for $5. You see that one dwarf that looked like Jeff Dunham's grumpy old Walter puppet.
Jeez.
That would probably be grumpy.
Thank you for that. Norwegian Kryptonian, 459 Norwegian krona. Sydney Sweeney made Norwegian news with her last Instagram post. Beauty sells. And
she knows that.
Yep.
She's smart.
She does.
She is very smart.
By the way, she's playing Barbarella, so I cannot wait for that.
But it's going to be R-rated Barbarella? R-rated Barbarella?
God, I hope so.
Me too.
Barbarella. Bye. Be nice to have a chick who wasn't a complete freaking...
Barbarella, I agree. Mark of reality for $5. Snow White is just another Disney princess with hairy shoulders. Yippee!
Oh, God.
Thank you for that one, Mark of reality. Mark of reality is back with another $10. Zoomers and alphas are in luck because Gen X have personal libraries of CDs and Blu-rays of stories that are actually good. I dropped off 6 Star Wars movies with my brother for my nephew.
You go.
See, that's the way to go. Especially, they just changed. They're changing Goodfellas. They announced it 3 months ago. They're editing out. Yeah, they're changing Goodfellas. They're putting a warning up, and they're also removing certain language because of it.
Well, it already had a warning, I believe. But wait a minute here. Scorsese is somehow allowing this? Wait, what?
I'll show you that. Let me pull up the news.
Please do, because Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I know.
But by the way, this is why Robert Meyer Burnett, preaches, man, buy physical media, man, before they could change it up on you. Because, there you go.
Yep.
Man, I'm the 4K master for a reason.
I will bring it up 1 second. And that we got that. And then we have Mexican Iron Man member for 7 months. This panel is great. Indeed, every Sunday is superb. Plus, for some reason, it didn't bring up these other chats. So I can't post them on the screen, but I'm going to read them to you. Graph Web for $2 in the name of all that is holy. Cancel Disney Plus. 100%. Every week he comes back with that message.
Consistent.
And I believe him, and I love him for it.
Hey, I canceled mine.
And then we have Ines Luby for £2, waiting for Avatar 3.
Nope. I'm sorry. I hated the first one. I didn't bother watching the second one. I just don't like Avatar. I don't.
Yeah, me either. I'm not a fan of either of them.
I never understood the appeal. And now, what's even funnier is how big that second film was. I have yet to meet somebody who I don't talk to on the internet here on the YouTube side of things that has actually seen that movie in my real life. None of my family members, none of my real life friends that I talk to outside of YouTube, and stuff like that. Nobody has actually watched the movie.
Which one? The second one, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, who went to see this movie?
My thing is, I hated the first one, so why am I going to watch the second?
Neither. I didn't go.
It was a big hit overseas.
But it was basically what? It was basically Dances and Wolves in Space, correct?
Pretty much.
Pretty much it. Yeah. Okay, so here's something just to make the point, and this is for Graph Web and everyone else, to show you how slimy and evil Disney is. I'm really surprised it didn't get more attention in the media and in YouTube. This is from my video. I couldn't find the original clip anymore. It seemed to disappear online. I'm glad we have this here. Hold on.
Funny how that happens sometimes.
It just amazes me.
My name is Charisma Magapas. I was recently denied the Disability Access Service.
Oh, I saw this.
At Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. I was in substitution, provided the return to line, where if I had a party with me, my party would wait in line, and I would meet up with them re-entry, and I wanted to make this video to show that no matter the severity of the disability, Disney has their own standards that they've created that determines whether or not you apply for their specific accessibility service, which mainly, and she described it as severely disabled or cognitively disabled.
And that's it. But think about that.
Wow.
I mean, how does that make you feel? I mean, forget the movies. You're talking about the corporation now. They're denying something. That's why she looked at herself. She's like, they're like, you have to be a certain amount of disabled. And
she looked pretty disabled though. Like how disabled do you have to be?
Is that right?
Well, she's obviously in a wheelchair and she's on a ventilator, which, I mean, that's the thing. Like my youngest daughter is on a ventilator. and like that is a lot of equipment to carry around. Like there's not just the machine itself. There's a lot of you have monitors and all kinds of stuff. There's no way that they didn't look at her and say, "Oh, you're not disabled enough." Like
I'd imagine she'd be quadriplegic by the look of it too. So like,
yeah.
I felt bad for her. How does it make you feel, chat?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it pisses me off, but it makes me wonder, okay, was it Disney policy or was it just the assholes who were, working that particular part of the line? I'd want to investigate a little bit more, because if I were, if I were like higher up at Disney, I would go out of my way to like make this good. With her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Right. I give her a free pass for a year. I give her, free food at the park. Like I would make this good, because this looks bad.
That's a bad look, right?
And the parks are already having a hard time right now. So they need good PR. Disney is getting hit on all sides right now with bad PR. They need wins. Like, yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, Disney has clearly forgotten what made Disney Disney. Disney was it was about hospitality, taking care of the guests that come inside the parks. Disney was about family entertainment, fun for the whole family, grandma, grandpa, uncle, auntie, bro, sis, mom, dad, everybody, cousins, everybody can go as a family. It's not going to be a lot of stuff. And it seems like they've just gotten away from that all the way around. And I don't know who's working in this company anymore, but they forgot what Disney was and why people loved Disney. I'll never go back to a Disney park, while it's in its current form. I'm looking forward to, what is it, Epic Universe out there in Florida. I'm looking forward to that, because I want to get back to some theme parks, and I'm just tired of Disney, man. And Disney's right here in my backyard. I used to have Disneyland passes. I took my kids to Disneyland, and it's like it's over. I can't rock with what this company has become. It's just a tragedy, man.
Well, plus it's just unaffordable at this point.
That too, yeah.
It is. The other thing too is like what I almost guarantee will happen is if Disney does not get on top of this sooner rather than later, Universal is going to step in, and they're going to offer her the world because they can, and because it looks great on them, because that's what they've been doing everywhere, is they're just owning Disney left and right. They're calling them out every chance they get, because they know it makes Disney look bad, and it makes them look like heroes. And it's smart marketing. Like, that's the way you do it.
Yep.
Well,
I say this all the time, man. Like, the reason why a lot of these companies have gotten out of control is because they have no competition. Bring in some competition and watch what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all saw what Universal's doing for their verse. They had videos of dragons flying around because they're building that.
Yes.
I was like, that's amazing. It was awesome. Amazing. Well, here's the last thing then, just to wrap up with Disney. Disney uses streaming terms to block, and everybody should know this. I mentioned it in the solo stream this Wednesday, but be careful what the hell you sign up, even if it's a free trial. Disney uses streaming terms to block wrongful death lawsuit against Florida resort. And here's what it basically is about. Hide these damn articles. As a widower takes Disney to court over his wife's death at Walt Disney World and Resorts, the company is using its Disney Plus streaming terms to attempt blocking the lawsuit. In a recent filing, Disney attorneys requested Jeffrey Piccolo's $50,000 case be dismissed and settled out of court after claiming his wife, Dr. Kanukporn Tangwan, died of an allergic reaction at the Florida Resort's Raglan Road Irish pub. They argued by signing up for a 30-day trial of Disney Plus in 2019, and again when purchasing the theme park tickets in 2023 through Disney Plus account, Piccolo agreed to the streamer's terms of service, which includes that all disputes with the Walt Disney Company or its affiliates be settled out of court. So even if you sign up for Disney Plus, they intend to try to set a precedent that this covers them in every aspect of your interactions with them.
If I were a judge, I'd throw that out. Like, there's no way. That cannot apply to a wrongful death.
Here's the thing. Disney probably doesn't even have a problem with paying. Disney does not like going to court. It is bad for their image. It is bad for them in general. That's why that wording is specific. It doesn't say that they're not held accountable. It says that you have to settle out of court because they do not want to go to trial. That's why this Gina thing, people can pretend like this isn't a big deal. This is a huge deal, for a judge to say this, because the thing is, most people, and like I said, I have had friends that work with Disney before. They will tell you Disney does not want to go to court, and if you do end up managing to get them to court, they will tie you up in litigation for years. And typically, what they do is a war of attrition. They go, we're not going to run out of money before you do. So the thing is with Gina, that's not a problem. They know money is not going to be an issue. So they can no longer do the war of attrition, because if Elon's backing her, he ain't going to run out of money before they do. They will run out of money before Elon does. Like that's the thing. So that's why this is bad. And the last thing that they want right now is a woman suing them for a death that was caused by anything that happened in their parks or anything. So they want to settle out of court. They want to go, let's just make this go away. Let's not talk about it. Let's not make a big deal about it. And if this actually goes to court, then like they're going to look worse and it's going to get publicized. And
it's actually the husband, but that being said, no, like, here's the thing is, like, I was listening to a few law tubers about this thing because, I wanted to get a good grasp on what, how the law would probably view it. And a lot of them were giving similar responses to it. But then there was a story that came out, I think on CNN yesterday or whatever, that Yellow Flash had brought to my attention, that like in the past, there's been a lot of these companies that have been able to get by and pull this bull crap off with a lot of people. Like, we're getting to this point where we're almost living in the human centipede episode of South Park, because you would think that most people and at least the courts kind of seen these kind of broad things that they would put in some kind of, contract like this, is it only goes as far as the service goes. And once that's done and over with or what have you, then you can't go beyond that. Right. Like, cause I would hope a judge would look at this and go, well, this is ridiculous. This is Disney Plus. It has nothing to do with Disney Plus. You're also arguing that they bought some tickets online through an app that had the same wording in it for Epcot Center. Neither one of those things are related to this restaurant. Hopefully a judge will see that and say, like, yeah, Disney, you're not going to be able to pull this one. But according to some of these cases I've seen in the past, there might be a precedent set already too far down this rabbit hole to me, where I'm like, does this mean we need some kind of government regulation here? And I hate saying that because I hate the government getting involved on shit, but it does feel like we need certain limitations placed on some of these kind of these contracts, because if anybody's seen that South Park episode, it's like, yeah, nobody reads these things, but you really realize what's in there. You'd be surprised. Like I was a member of the Disney Movie Club. Do they own my? I've been joking. Do they own my liver now or something? Because
probably.
At this
point,
gone.
You send it away. They get your next of kin, Tom.
Yeah, the firstborn,
it's nuts. It's nuts. But I think we had a great show. I think this is good. Next week we'll have a lot of these people back. We're going to be covering Rings of Power, and we're going to have also Eric July will be here. Plus, we have 2 more super chats to read before the panel tells you where they can find them. Hold on, I think we have something that's going to pop up in a second. Let me just get...
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
I love Sindek. Sir Pete from New York. Sir Pete of New York for $5. A good X off not being forged is when Scorsese told Margot Robbie he'd find someone else when she didn't want to get nude for Wolf of Wall Street. I like the way Margot Robbie worked in Wolf of Wall Street. I guess it worked.
And that's one of those good examples of you almost have to do it or the joke or the scene doesn't work, right?
Right.
Like, because that's the whole point of the scene, especially the one where he's like, there's a camera up there in that bear.
There's a camera in your hoo-ha. You know what? The old days, I feel sorry for Frank Langella, who got canceled a year ago when he was filming The House of Usher, because he said it was the first time he didn't know they were going to shoot a quasi-sensual sex scene.
You reminded me we didn't get to the Scorsese sorry. So what happened with that, by the way?
I'll get it to you. I'll send it to you right after here. Thanks. So what happened was that Langella got fired because the lead actress complained about him that he touched her hip without approval from the intimacy coordinator. But he didn't know about intimacy coordinators. Like, I never heard of this thing. He goes, we're professional actors. We're supposed to have a love scene together. I have to place my hand on your hip. And they were talking about how it was like, well, no, we have adjustments here. You can go only 2 inches here, a quarter.
Oh, hell no.
And he was just flipped out. And because of that, she complained and said it was assault and violated her space. And the intimacy coordinator went to the producers and he got canceled. It's he's like, he told a story in an interview where he's like, that Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway filming Bonnie and Clyde, they were having that sex scene. They just went down on it. The director's like, okay, we're just gonna leave the camera shooting, and we're going over here. He's like, people were adults. He goes, they're treating everybody like children. Like, oh, you can only kiss 1 centimeter to the left of my lip. You can't go to the right. You can't give me. I mean, it's insane what goes on today.
They have to justify their salaries, so.
Well, and everybody's limits are generally different, right? Like that's the other thing. So I think it worked better back in the day. I don't remember anybody having any major issue that I can recall offhand. And there may be one or two that somebody could think of in the chat and would throw out there. But where back in the day before you had this intimacy coordinator crap, where anybody complained that somebody went over any kind of line shooting any of these scenes, right? Because they're so technical on top of it all. That's the other thing is like, a lot of actors and actresses have talked about that in the past where it's like, do you really think that these are as like romantic and intimate as they make them look in the edit? Fuck no. It's a lot of, okay, now hold
There's
that
like 30
position.
people on set with you,
there's
man.
30 people watching. You're under hot lights. You're like, okay, now hold that position. And then like, it's like, and do this. Okay, now flip around here and you get this at angle. And it's like, there's nothing romantic about any of that shit.
Yeah, I'm sure Michael Douglas, when he was doing Basic Instinct with her, he wasn't like the way it looks on film.
Sometimes you'll have the goofy ones where they will just go at it, right? Like George,
Beatty.
it does happen, but
I'm sure. But it's crazy today. Mark of reality for another $5. Let's be clear about what Disney needs. No more Bob Iger. No more Kathleen Kennedy. No more lesbian headband. No more JJ and Filoni and Feige can hit the bricks too.
I agree.
I agree 100%. I'll say it again. Filoni and Feige and the rest of them can hit the bricks too. Leslie Headland was a disgrace. I really don't know how that woman, except being Harvey Weinstein's former pimp, is the only way she got a job. So, thank you everybody for coming. DA, please tell everyone where they can find you.
Yeah, Derek Anderson, the DA. Go ahead and check out my channel. If you just type it in exactly as it sounds, you'll find me. Appreciate the invite, George. Thank you very much. Dante, Mike, Tom, love all you guys. Paul as well, that was out here earlier, Midnight's Edge, and Andre. Look, it's a fantastic group. I hope everybody is subscribed to everybody here, and come check out my channel as well. Thanks once again, George. I appreciate the love.
Absolutely. Thank you. Dante?
Yeah, guys, you can find me Verbal Riot on YouTube, Rumble, and X. And usually do my live shows every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. And yeah, man, be on the lookout for my next video, which is going to be about America's favorite breakdancer, Ray Gun. So I have to get into that one, man.
Verbal, you need to check out my ex. If
I have to do a deep dive into Ray Gun.
You're going there. I cannot wait. Ray Gun. You've heard about what they've been saying about her, that she rigged the whole thing.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going all into that, man, because it's like she's an awful person.
Yeah.
She really is. Like she took the spot of like more qualified Australian breakdancers, and the way she went about it, or the way they claim she went about it, because this is all kind of hearsay,
right?
It's pretty scandalous. So,
wow. And not only that, she's the greatest meme in history, if you will. Real super cool.
Oh no, she's the gift that keeps on giving, man.
If you can share my screen real quick, I'll show you a couple of my favorites absolutely as fast as possible.
In the most batshit Olympics we've ever had, she stands out.
So we got this one here is one of my favorites.
I love that.
And then this one's another one of my favorites.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
And this one's probably my next to favorite one.
But yeah.
I think at this point we may have jumped the shark. So
Here's one that I like. Here's one I had a couple. Hold on, this one I thought that.
Yeah, there's some great ones out there. Yeah. The other one is that people put it to the Seinfeld music because she's dancing like Elaine.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh, that's too funny.
This will go down as the worst Olympics we've ever had.
Oh, absolutely. Because you have everything from what they made fun of The last
opening ceremonies, ultimate opening ceremonies was a disaster. Then you got the boxer situation. Now you got the breakdancing, man. It's like this thing had it all.
Oh no, there was more than that though. There was more than that.
That's all I needed. Okay, because
there was the puking from the swimming in the shit infested water. There was.
Yeah. Do you want to see something? This is the woman that she beat, supposedly.
Yes. Now there's some talent.
This is crazy. This is crazy. She beat this
white girl. Got some moves. Holy shit.
That was supposed to be Australia's top breakdancer, but somehow.
Wow, dude.
I hate to say this, but 1985 called and said they wanted their fad back.
Yeah.
And do you know what Ray Gunn's response was? She says, I knew I wouldn't be able to beat any of the younger talent physically, that they have the power. So I went all out creatively.
You got 0 points, so good job with that one.
Well, by creatively meaning like she'll give us the best memes we've ever had. Yes.
yeah.
She's won the long game. We didn't even know it. She's already won. Yeah. She's like, that's exactly what I wanted.
Oh yeah, dude. Can you imagine this Halloween? Oh, it's going to be the number one costume.
Oh my God.
It's going to be the number one costume.
Yeah.
Ray Gunn.
They're going to cosplay her at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
The thing is they're disabling it everywhere online.
Oh yeah. You can't play the clips. Like you'll get in trouble now. So
they have gone crazy, but I did find this last one before we get Epic Mike and Tom, because this one just have to share this one more.
Well, that actually
Jesus.
That actually goes with this one I didn't show because I had the other one, but yeah.
Bro.
Jesus.
I mean, there's just no. I mean,
I'm just thinking about that Soldier Boy clip. She copied my whole fucking flow. Word for word, bar for
bar. It's just, and the thing is after the Olympics were over, there's a clip online showing her going into the Olympic Village, and they're all like, Ray Gunn, and she just decides to, I gotta show you. I just can't. It's just too good. Because she's acting like she won the gold. You know, like, I'm one of you. When you read her entire history that's being laid out now, is you discover that there was no Olympic breakdancing committee in Australia. So she founded it with her husband, and then set up all the parameters for the point system for how you would make it and who would be able to compete and who would be able to get in and who would qualify. And here it is. And it was just nutty as hell. Here we go. Okay, where the hell did you go? Oh, there you go, you little bastard.
There's one for the outtake clip.
That's like some drunk auntie shit.
Yeah, where did this come? Why did this fad come back? I don't get it. It had a shorter lifespan than disco, kids. Let's put it this way: it started, and then Breakin' came out. It was dead by the time Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo left theaters, guys.
No, that's true though.
And the movies came out in the same freaking year.
It's insane.
Sorry, I just find it hilarious, man. It's like it was a short-lived fad. It was fun while it lasted. Your cousin did the worm around the fucking campfire. We get it.
Well, apparently, man. Apparently,
like
in Japan and Korea, like breakdancing is huge. Like it's still a big thing.
Is it still? Okay, I can understand that, I guess.
All right, Epic Mike, where can everyone find you? What are you coming up with next?
Yeah, you can find me over on YouTube, youtube.com/@epicmike. I'm going to be doing a stream later today. I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 3, my first playthrough of that game. We've been doing some awesome stuff with that. So keep your eyes on that. I try to stream, at least every couple days. And then also keep your eyes on Epicverse Studios, epicverse.tv. We're working on the new website as well. That'll be up soonish. I don't have a specific date yet. And like I said, man, movies are a lot of work, but once that all is ready, you guys will not hear the end of it from me. We're really excited to be able to present some stuff to you guys and show you what we got cooking, and try to provide you guys with some original entertainment, man. Because once we get this started, there's no stopping. Like, we're just all,
so we get to know him now before he makes it big, and he won't come back here.
Yeah, my goal, my ultimate goal is to buy an island and disappear from public. Nobody will ever see me again. I'll just die on this island by myself. So we'll see.
I heard this guy named Epstein might have one for sale.
I don't want that island. I want a smaller one where I just.
Thank you, Mike, for coming.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, can't wait to have you back. Tom, where can everybody find you? What are you doing next?
Midnight's Edge After Dark, Mead Radio, all those fun places. I'll actually be heading over to Valiant stream straight from here. So,
what about Midnight's Edge Espanol?
Oh, Midnight's. Well, I don't know how to speak Espanol.
Oh,
I hang out there once in a while and I just go, "Where's the button so I can change the language, guys?" I just slow the show down because then they have to explain everything to me. But yeah, once in a while I do pop up. But do check out Midnight's Edge Espanol, please.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for coming. And we will be back next Sunday. I will be streaming this Wednesday at 2:00 for my next solo stream. And then we have another stream premiering this Thursday. It's about Meghan and Harry, a new show. Again, I wish you all a blessed week. Thank you for all the super chats. They keep the lights on, the memberships. They get us to keep growing. These are beautiful people. Have a wonderful week. And to win every battle and stay true to yourself, all you have to remember is that we never bow down. We never bend the knee. Always forward.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.